Yeah, congratulations on the 40,000 sub milestone. You know, one step to beating Markiplier. I know how you feel about him.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of that.
Oh, but Bryce, surely you have maybe it's just a mixed relationship. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
it's a hate thing, man. To be honest.
but no, I understand. We've all been there. We've all
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah.
But so basically, what got you into making FPS reviews?
Look, to be honest, I don't really remember. To be honest, man, it's just at the time, I was getting into video editing as like a profession because that's what I was doing back then. I was getting into videography, and I've always been, a pretty big FPS nut, obviously, but I didn't see anyone just focusing on that. You had lazy game reviews. Lazy game reviews. Yeah, that's right. I mean, you had a few people doing it, but no one seemed to focus on that aspect of things. You know what I mean? And there was a couple of games I was playing at the time, like good old games.com back then was just bringing out so many. Like you went on that website around that point, you were just like, oh my God, you saw these games that you just remember playing. And I think I must have spent maybe $200, $300 just buying, shitloads of these games. And then, I don't know, I just think it was just done out of boredom. I just started playing through them, capturing footage and just doing it, like I said, I guess out of boredom. And then it seemed to gain a little bit of a following. I think the Blood 2 review, which was one of the first ones I ever did, it just seemed to... It must have been posted somewhere, man, and it went kind of semi-viral, I guess. It got a few thousand hits, and then I was like, oh, okay, there's a bit of an audience here, so I just started doing it, and then, it's just been, I don't know, snowballing ever since,
Oh, yeah, because, I remember in your early videos, because I'm just one of those kind of guys with the memory.
I know, yeah, you've been around a while, yeah.
In your Shogo and Redneck Rampage.
That's right, yeah.
You kind of, not to be rude or anything, but you were kind of shilling a little bit for GOG.
Yeah, I was a little bit, but that was unintentional, of course. I wasn't obviously shilling in the sense of the word,
of
but
course.
Yeah, I was in love with the site at the time because I don't remember who told me about it, but someone's like, check this site out. It's DRM. It's not like Steam, and you get to actually have the executables, and you can back things up. And I don't know. It was such a better business model than Steam. Steam I think is still so prevalent just by default, but GOG's got such a better business model, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because with GOG, there's at least a sense of quality assurance when you're buying their products.
Yeah, of course.
With Steam, it's kind of just a bit of a crapshoot. And you've experienced it because with the because you buy more, you review more modern current kind of games, and the optimization is pretty much garbage a good majority of the time. Sometimes it's perfectly good, but that's having good optimization should be something of something that's standard, not something that should be praised.
Yeah, there's games you'll buy on Steam. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Actually, hang on, maybe I can. Even something like Red Faction 2, I was playing that recently, obviously, and the launcher doesn't even work. You have to do this. I can't remember what I did, but there was a trick to just get the launcher working. And they're selling that on Steam for $10 or whatever, and they don't. They don't take time to make sure the games work. It's just, look, here's the executable, here's the files, or whatever. Pay us $10 and you got it. But half these old games don't work, and there's so many, like I said, old games I can't think off the top of my head that just don't work.
I think when one of the games I was going to ask you about was basically Doom 4. So have you got a review code by Bethesda or something like you got for the Far Cry Primal game?
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Look, there's guys that sort of manage that side of things for me for the YouTube channel. There's a couple of dudes who I think one of them's still in uni. They're really nice guys, and they manage that side of things. They get in touch with all those marketing people. I just don't have the time, to be honest, because I've got the full-time job as well, so this is still the hobby. But it's really tricky. Sometimes people are really happy to give you review codes, and sometimes they kind of screw you around. I'm not sure what's going on with Doom. I think we are getting something because we're on the the media list or whatever you call it, or the journalist list or some shit. So I think we're getting something, but don't hold me to it. So I'm not too sure, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, it's all cool because I wanted to also know your general thoughts. It's gonna be maybe a little bit outdated when the game comes out, but how does it feel to you? Do you think it's kind of a Thief reboot, or is it going to be an actual, proper expansion.
For Doom 4, you mean?
Yeah, Doom 4, yeah.
Look, I don't know. I'm trying to be positive about it, but because there's two sides to me. Like, I got the side which is just really rude and kind of, I look at something and say, oh, that's terrible. But then there's common sense and I think things through a bit. My gut feeling is it looks like dog shit. Like, it just looks like a fucking train wreck, to be honest. I've seen the multiplayer footage and that's not Doom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I am concerned that there's such a focus on the multiplayer side of things. I don't know why they're releasing a multiplayer demo. I don't give a shit about the multiplayer. Doom, for me, is about, it's the single-player experience, man. It was the first single-player game that a lot of us, I guess, played that scared the shit out of us. I don't care about ranked multiplayer and kill streaks and all that kind of shit, So it's... I don't know. Maybe they're just holding back the single player because they don't want to give anything away, or maybe the focus is on the multiplayer. But what I've seen, I'm not too keen on, to be honest. I think the pacings, just the controls, and just the way it seems to look when people play it, it doesn't look like what Doom is to me.
Yeah, I understand. I know. I kind of understand what you're talking about because I think a lot of games like Doom and such, they kind of believe that, they look at something like multiplayer and they go, well, Doom had multiplayer back in 1993, so 1993, 4, whatever.
Yeah, 93,
yeah. And basically they'll think, we have to fulfill the expectation that wasn't really there to begin with.
Yep.
But we kind of got to fulfill in a way. It's sort of like, we know that like something like the next Team Fortress game, whatever that is, that's going to be multiplayer focused.
Yep.
And that has to be even better to what it originally was, and that makes sense because it was a multiplayer based game. But for other games that never had a multiplayer mode to begin with, or wasn't the main feature, it's irrelevant basically.
Yeah, it's just such a weird, I don't know, a trend or I guess model that they've taken with it, because even Doom 3 wasn't multiplayer focused. Like Doom 3, I remember the videos at the time and every interview with someone from id Software, it was like, look, we're going to redefine the single-player FPS experience. That was the resounding factor. So I don't know what they're drawing on this multiplayer thing from, unless it's just like a product of the times, because you just can't release an FPS game, it seems, without a tacked-on multiplayer. And I give mad props to Far Cry Primal for having the balls to just be a single-player game. People talk so much shit about that, and I had to be careful what I said about it because I had so many people thinking I was shilling just because I got invited to preview it. But that's mad props, man. Like that's a pretty big demographic they would have lost because they didn't have a multiplayer side of it,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's why I really liked Machine Games'
Wolfenstein.
New Order and Old Blood.
Same thing, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they took a risk, but I think you're going to see this is that you're going to notice there's going to be a lot of people who are going to buy the game day one, but a lot of people are going to return the game back to like EB Games or GameStop or whatever, because a lot of people will just play the single player and that'll be enough for them. And because the multiplayer mode doesn't have that last ability that it's like in Call of Duty or whatever, I think that kind of the addition of a multiplayer is trying to give it a bit more life.
Yeah. Is it ranked multiplayer? Or is it just like a deathmatch kind of thing? It would be ranked, wouldn't it, I suppose?
Oh, yeah. It would be ranked.
I've seen the perks and I've seen this kind of stuff. And that actually kind of shits me a little bit too, because I remember seeing a thread on 4chan of all places, and it was people talking about the footage and someone kind of saying, oh, that's like the kill streak. It was, you got a reward for, or what do you call it, like a kill streak thing or whatever from punching someone, and then it was like a double kill and a monster kill or whatever. But it's, people just go, oh, that's from Call of Duty. But then it's like, hang on, like that kind of came from Quake 3. So you can kind of track a lot of these things back. But in terms of the visuals, it is just kind of that generic multiplayer game. You could tack any kind of IP onto it and it would have the same effect as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah. Because I think you're going to find is that the whole perk system, I use of quotations, because basically it's in literally every fucking game now.
Yeah.
Because every game literally thinks perks equals depth, but not really. I'd imagine that skill would mean more, like a case in point, Quake Arena, for example, which was more about skill than it was any about bullshit unlockables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, no, you're right on the money, man. I mean, you're on a level playing field with every single person in that game, pretty much. At least in terms of what resources you have available. The skill there is, like you say, it's actual skill. It's knowing how a railgun works, how a rocket launcher works. It's knowing where the super health is, where the bloody, I don't know, the med kits, all that kind of stuff is located. It's not just about, you know, running around and having that fucking machine gun that kills you in 3 hits less than the base machine gun or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, except for the railgun.
Yeah,
but
railgun's a little bit overpowered. But even that, I mean, that's got to be one of the most skill-based weapons in the whole game, I think.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. It's basically time-based.
Yeah.
But what's funny though is that you notice a lot of, at least in industry right now, was that you have games like Evolve that were hyped up into like pretty much the stratosphere. And people going, oh, it's gonna be fucking amazing. It's gonna be like Left 4 Dead on crack. And then it comes out, people like you review it, and I know a handful of other reviewers pretty much review it going, you know, it's kind of bullshit. It's actually kind of a shitty game that no one's going to play in about a month. And lo and behold, the game is basically worthless because there's no single-player element.
Yeah.
And it clearly doesn't work. The marketing tactic of just multiplayer-focused and fuck the single-player doesn't work because, again, games like Star Wars Battlefront will come out. People will play it for about, you know, a couple of months, realize there's no actual content, and then they'll drop it.
Yeah,
At least with a single-player component, which is what I liked about New Order and Old Blood, was that you can actually come back to the game and still actually play the damn thing.
There's a reason to come back. If you're invested in the single player, there's a reason. But like you say, once if your goal is just to play a game until you get bored of it, that's all you're going to do. But there's no reward for that in that sense. You're not really getting invested in the same 4 maps that are just going to loop over and over and over. That's why I think I've kind of become disillusioned, I guess, with a lot of these modern games too. It's I guess it kind of feeds into that. It's just there's no staying power unless you just want to play it for 200 hours. That's kind of your thing, you know?
Yeah, actually, but it was on a similar subject. Because I remember a couple of years ago, it was like end of 2013, you basically were talking about the gaming industry, and you were basically saying it was getting progressively worse. And I was just wondering, because I mean, you know, someone that's been playing games for quite a while, and can compare old and new.
Yep.
Would you say, like, what do you think the direction of the game industry?
What I don't remember the context of what I said that. Do you remember what video that was in?
It was like in your end of 2013 year, and you're basically talking about looking at
FPS games or just the industry.
FPS games. I think it was mostly FPS games because you're basically saying, oh, the new Wolfenstein game looks good, but I think it's mostly getting worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, because now it's been a couple of years. Like, how do you feel towards the whole how do you feel towards the industry in FPS games or at a whole?
Look, the industry, that's, like I said, that's opening another can of worms. I mean, we could talk all day about Gamergate and stuff. I don't want to get into politics that much, but
fair enough.
Yeah, there's I don't know where to start with that. I mean, I guess the way I look at it is you could go 15 years back, and I don't want to keep harping on the past because I know that's a bit sort of, I don't know, a bit sort of cynical or whatever, but I mean, you look at 1998, you look at the games we got in 1998 alone compared to what we got in 2013. Do you know what I mean? You would get, a dozen industry-defining sort of titles, and this is just FPS alone, man. I mean, 1998, we got what? Unreal, we got
Half-Life.
We got, did Quake 2 come out in 98, or was that before?
No, 97.
Okay. I think Sin came out same year. We had Thief the Dark Project. What else, man? I mean, we could just go on, in 1998 alone. And you could talk about those games for hours alone about why they're so good and what they are. But, you look at 2013 and they're all sequels and they're all whatever. It's just
reboots.
Yeah, there's nothing original really going on in the industry anymore. And I still think that's the same in 2016. It's just going to die off, I think. And I think cinema's the exact same, man. You look at it now. I went to see Batman vs. Superman the day, which was a piece of shit. And every trailer that I saw in the movie was for another comic book movie that was coming out. There's Captain America Civil War, whatever it is. There's X-Men Apocalypse. And it's the same with the gaming industry. You look at what's coming out, and they're all just remakes and rehashes. Even Doom's a good example,
Yeah. But I think it's funny, though, is that a lot of what we consider defining moments in gaming, like if you ask someone what was the last really defining game or FPS gaming, most folks would probably say something like Half-Life 2 or maybe
I'd say Half-Life. I think Half-Life was still. I don't think anything's really beaten it. I think everything else that came out after Half-Life was derivative of what Half-Life did. Half-Life 2 is good, but you look at the real just difference between the first and second game. I think is just the physics engine. It's still it tells the same type of story where it's like you're in the story and the narrative is kind of thrown in front of you instead of through cinematics. So I still think Half-Life is for me the most industry defining game for FPSs anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Because but when you also look at it, because consider that something like Doom 3 basically took the same formula of Half-Life. The first mission is basically combat free, and then shit goes to hell.
Yeah, and how many people have done that now since? In so many games. Yeah,
into literally every single game.
Yeah,
or a lot of games at least. But I think for me, from my perspective on it, is that it kind of shows that we haven't had that real good leap in kind of industry-defining kind of gaming. Like, a lot of people are kind of expecting Half-Life 3, whenever the fuck that comes out.
Oh, that'll never come out, yeah.
Yeah, that will be the next step in gaming, but I'm doubtful that can actually push anything further.
That's interesting. Like, the more they wait, the worse it's going to get. If they had just released episode 3, it would be fine because you can keep the same game mechanics. You can keep it in that old school formula. How are they going to release episode 3 in 2016 or 17 where it's an FPS where you climb up a ladder and, you don't... You know what I mean? You climb up the ladder and the gun still stands out in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think they've got too many fingers in other pies. I don't think we'll ever see that, to be honest. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah. Sorry, keep going. What you're saying,
no,
though. But
no, it's true because the thing is they'll never touch a lot of those actual publishers like Valve. They'll never touch IPs like Half-Life because they realize that the source engine is just woefully outdated, and they know if they want to make a sequel, it would mean they'll have to completely redefine, completely make a new source engine.
Yeah. They've got to scrap the whole thing, yeah.
They have to scrap the whole thing, start from square one, and to them, that's too much of a risk when they've got Steam, where they can rip people off buying shitty, broken games.
And the funny thing, too, is that the new Unreal Tournament that's coming out, which does look awesome, I'll give props, that looks fucking amazing. I don't know what they call it. Is it Unreal Tournament 4? Is that what they're calling it? The new one that's coming out? It's in beta or whatever, yeah.
It would be Unreal Tournament 4. The third was the last one from 2007?
Yeah.
8, I think.
And the reason it looks so good is because it's going back to its roots. That's why people go, oh, this is a mad game. Yeah, no shit, motherfuckers. This is what we all used to play. This is why we love these games so much, It's kind of doing this vicious cycle where it seems like it's going to go back to where it all started. And that's why I guess it frustrates me going back to Doom, where Doom's doesn't seem to be doing that anyway. It just seems to say, yeah, we know what made Doom so good, but screw that, we're going to do what we want, That's the way I'm looking at that.
Oh, absolutely, because if you actually looking at the gameplay of the game from gameplay footage, it basically looks like a orange version of Borderlands.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
and overall, I'd say that but I think kind of tells you a bit more about the industry as a whole, where basically what's considered good, i.e. Wolfenstein, is basically doing things from a past decade. And but it really depends on where they'll go with it, because I don't know, because I'm kind of too jaded to bother getting into the more newer games coming out, but I think it's interesting though is that not to pry or anything, but from your Steam library, you've quite a few non-FPS games like Hitman, I think.
I love that's a pretty common misconception about me, is that I just play FPS. I play everything. I'd say my number one favorite game of all time is Max Payne 2, if not Max Payne 1. It's not even a first-person shooter. It's just that obviously for the channel, I stick to FPS, and whenever I started doing third-person games or whatever, I just know that that's just going to open the floodgates, and then I'll never hear I'll review this game. The common one I get at the moment is this Spec Ops: The Line, which I played 20 minutes of, and I'll be honest, it bored me shitless, man. I didn't want to play it at all. I uninstalled it after about 20 minutes, and I know if I start doing every other game genre, I'm never going to hear the end of it, So I've just kind of limited it to that out of preference. But there's been some fantastic games, dude, in the last couple of years that aren't FPS. The Batman Arkham games are just incredible. I've spent hundreds of hours playing those, combined, and obviously, I love the Assassin's Creed games, Red Dead Redemption, Dead Space, all those kind of really big AAA games, which people just, dismiss because they're AAA games, but they're incredible. They're amazing games,
Oh, yeah, like, I mean, the amount of actual effort and technical finesse that's put into each of the games is, like, phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people is that they've kind of gone a bit... I think for some games, like, I mean, case in point, Battlefield, Call of Duty, they've kind of got a bit overloaded, perhaps, with the same game coming out every year, at least.
Yeah.
But no, it's completely true. Because there are, like, there are great games coming out, but I think, again, a lot of people are kind of a bit jaded. I mean, to put it simply, I think a lot of people are a bit neck-bearded by it. They don't really want to prod it too much, but I think it's kind of... But I also kind of feel like some series is basically they're being hoarded out, and it's kind of a little bit disgusting. Like, I know you're reviewing the Halo games and whatnot, and I'm looking at Halo 5 and Halo 6, and I'm comparing to the first game and second game, they feel like completely different works, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I haven't played the last couple ones. I played Halo 3 on a friend's Xbox. I don't know, like I said, I played Halo, the first one when it came out. I had to go back and do the second one when I did the review. I think that was pretty much the first time I'd played it since when it came out or whatever. But they're not amazing games, but again, like, for their time, and if you could compare them in terms of their originality to what we have today, I mean, that was a new IP. They took a gamble and it paid off, but it's just they're not doing that anymore with games. It's just, let's see what we can rehash, let's see what we can redo. Like, I mean, I can't believe I didn't know this sooner, but there's a new Dark Souls game, like Dark Souls 3. I haven't even played the second one. It's people are talking about it already. It just came out of nowhere. And Dark Souls and Demon Souls, and that, they were so original for their time too. They were kind of breaking the mold, and now it's ironic, I guess, that they're kind of falling into that same,
cycle.
Formula. Yeah, like, when's Dark Souls 4 coming out,
Yeah, basically, because actually there'll probably be Dark Souls Resurrection. But no, they're going to be... Because there are a few devs that do they're smart behind it. Like, the people that make Dark Souls From Software, they're pretty decent at variation.
Yeah.
Though, most of the time.
I guess Bloodborne was original too, but I guess I don't even know if they're making a sequel to that. But that's...
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
I'm going to be interested, though... But I was also wondering, though... What, because again, we could get on the subject of the industry and whatnot for basically hours and hours, and I'm not gonna consume your life like that. But I will ask is what was your surprise by your having a community, because you talk about you had a Reddit page now, and what's your big surprise by it? Having a community, what's probably your biggest surprise in making one, at least?
Jeez, I don't know. I don't even, to be honest, I don't look at it as a community. I'm not sure how to answer it. Can you reword it a bit?
Okay. What's probably the biggest surprise you've had in getting 40,000 people to watch your channel?
Biggest surprise is people can consistently be dicks. That's probably the biggest surprise I've had. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's interesting too how there is... I mean, you don't really think about it, because unless you have like-minded friends in real life, I have friends who play games, don't get me wrong, but no one to the point where I could say to them, dude, do you remember Commander Keen on the DOS? No one would say, yeah, man, that game was awesome. It'd be like, do you remember GoldenEye? They're that type of level of gamers. So it was kind of funny for me when I would put up a review for, I don't know, a really older game Wolfenstein 3D, and someone would say, yeah, I remember when I played this game, this happened. And until you see that, you're like, shit, yeah, there were potentially millions of people who played the same game at the same time I did who had similar reactions to playing it. So I guess the biggest surprise, like I said, was that there was still like-minded people out there. That was a pretty big surprise, believe it or not,
No, I agree, because it's sort of it gives you a lot more context in the videos you make and such, because it means that you go, this experience that I had was basically shared by thousands or hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
It completely makes sense. But I was actually wondering, because again, I'm just one of those fellows. I was watching, reading through some of the comments on your earlier videos, and it's kind of interesting because you're pretty responsive in quite a lot of your videos. But I've also noticed that some of your videos, like you didn't remember very fondly. Like I remember one of them is Fistful of Frags. It was a review. Now again, don't take I'm not trying to pry or anything, but from your comments and replies was basically that you didn't really
play the game much.
Yeah.
And I'm openly honest about that. There's certain videos up there that are just terrible. Like I won't even lie about them. The Fistful of Dolls one is I think the worst review I've ever done. I probably played it for about 60 minutes, and I think I even say that in the video. I posted a comment or something, and I won't lie, there was a point when I was just trying to get views, and Fistful of Frags was trending at the moment. Like everyone seemed to be talking about it on Steam, and that's just that. I'll whack a review up. I hated the game. I didn't play it enough to understand it, but I just wanted people to get. I just wanted notoriety. Do you know what I mean? So I put it up, and it's a terrible review. I watched it a couple of weeks ago actually, and I just sit there like going, "What the fuck was I talking about, man?" Do you know what I mean? And I sound like such a conceited asshole, but. Like I said, I'm the first person to admit it, and I thought about deleting it, but I just thought, why delete it? Leave it up there. And every time I see the thumbnail, I'm like, yep, that's right. Don't fuck around. Just play the game until you know what the hell you're talking about. It's a perfect lesson for me in terms of how to not do videos in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. You know, we've all been edgelords occasionally.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Yeah.
But yeah, if you say that's the worst video, then what would be the second worst?
You know what? I wish I could go back. I don't want to, but I would consider going back and redoing some of the Stalker reviews.
Really?
Well, that's it. Look, that's a community of gamers that spend a lot of time with those games, and it is true. You really need to play certain mods, I think, to improve your experience of the game. And I was a bit closed-minded about certain things. Believe it or not, I didn't rush through them. I really took my time with them, but I think I was a bit dismissive. There's like a 7-day cooling off period, you know, when you're trying to get into finance and stuff and investments where they're like, take 7 days, cool off, then come back and do it again. And I almost think with games that I hate at first, I should do that and chill out, because I'd come back, I'd be a bit more level-headed, and I wouldn't be sort of just talking out my ass. I can't remember what the second one's called. Is it Clear Sky?
Yeah.
That's the one I just hated, right? I thought that was a piece of shit. I mean, it's just... I think I just ripped the game in your asshole. And you look at the comments in those videos and it's like, you're an idiot. You know what you're talking about. So I kind of wish that I was a bit more level-headed in those type of reviews. Because when you're going... Like I said, you're going into games where people are playing them for hundreds of hours, and if you get one fact wrong, you're going to piss off countless people, definitely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, but I mean... I kind of understand what you mean, because sometimes you need to, step away to kind of appreciate it in a way, like allow it to ruminate, I guess.
Well, just to take the emotion out of it, because if I've had times when I would quit a game and I'd go straight to Microsoft Word and start typing up the review like, this fucking sucks, this bit, blah, blah, like I've done that in the past, I don't do it anymore, but games like I can't think of anything, to be honest, man. But there were games when I just did that straight away, and or it was like bullet points, like the fucking machine gun sucks, and I hate how there's no health kits at this bit. Like I just bullet point it straight away so I could come back and rant about it. But I think you got to take the emotion out of it. I think that the better videos I've done, which I like the most, are the ones where it was level-headed. I still said things were bad, but I just didn't act like an angsty teenager and swear my head off about it.
I kind of got that feeling in again, one of those people when you were talking about your System Shock 2 review, and you're basically saying, you get pissed off, you gotta get out, take a walk, go for a drive, something like that. And I kind of got me feeling that I was like, yeah, game pissed him off.
Yeah, because it's not worth it. There's too many factors that are so good in a game like that just to get the shits at one point. Those cyborg assassin things, man, are the biggest pain in the ass. Anyone who's played it, those guys that throw ninja stars.
Oh, yeah, fuck them.
I don't think you can avoid the ninja stars. I don't think I'm wrong for saying that. I think it's that type of hit scanning, whatever, but it's bullshit attack. And you play it and they fucking kill you 3 or 4 times or whatever, and they're just bullet sponges. It's just like, yeah, that's kind of pissy, but the rest of the game is just so goddamn good. So you're not going to say this game sucks because of something so trivial,
Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah. But, that's true. Because, but I was also I was just going to ask, because if that would be your worst videos, not System Shock, but what would be your best video?
Best video? I don't know. I've never really tried to rank them, to be honest, dude. I I don't know. I like a lot of my older videos the most, even though I don't like. I had a different recording setup back then, and a lot of the old videos were 30 frames, so they're really really jittery, and it's 720p and all that kind of shit. But I think my old what do you call it? I think the No One Lives Forever videos. I really like watching those, and I wish the blood review I did was a bit longer. I think my first blood reviews goes for like 5 minutes, but I wish I went into more detail. But a lot of the older videos, I don't know. I had more. I could say more back then without repeating myself. I feel nowadays when I'm talking about games, it's like just repetition. I'm just going over the same things. It's like, and then the graphics, and then the story, and then whatever. You feel like you're just saying the same shit. But back then it was like I genuinely was saying different things about each game. I didn't feel like it was repetitious, you know?
No, so it was like when you were like you were kind of like new to the hobby. Now you're old to the hobby, and it's like,
I really liked the Kingpin review. I think was pretty funny too, because there was that's such a funny game. I think it's unintentionally funny how much swearing is in that game, but I think that turned out to be a pretty good review too. And you haven't seen many people cover that game on YouTube, so it's kind of like a rare thing too, I think.
Because I was also wondering though, because you cover games like Sin, Kingpin. Let me think. No One Lives Forever. These are games that never got on. At least haven't been on digital distribution. Until only recently. So I'm wondering, have you got a library of big boxed PC games on the shelf next to you?
I do actually. I've got I don't know if you probably remember anyway, but back in the 90s when we had Discmans or Walkman, no, Discmans, right? Yeah, they were the CDs. You could buy these little filing case things where you could fit like 3 CDs in a row, and they were those little laminated folder things that you flip through.
Oh yeah, I know
I've got about 3 or 4 of those full of old PC games, and I'm really pissed off because when I moved out of home, I threw out the boxes of the games because I didn't have enough space. So all the old boxes and these were the original boxes, man, for games like Hexen and Redneck Rampage, Soldier Fortune, Thief, Half-Life. I don't know if you remember the old Half-Life Collector's Edition.
Oh no, I know what it looks like. Yeah, it was wonderful orange box.
Yeah, it was like the orange box of the 90s that you got Half-Life, you got Opposing Force, Blue Shift, I think, and Team Fortress Classic in this really cool. I think it was like an octagon-shaped box or something, man. It was really weird, but they're all just gone. They're gonskis, But I've got the CDs, so I've got that part of history. But man, the original boxes, which is, if you got a YouTube channel, you got to have all your boxes stacked up in your man cave. So I'm missing out on that.
Oh yeah, but also eBay, man, eBay.
Yeah, you can sell the boxes like DSP does. Just sign my fucking name on them and sell them off.
It's kind of I don't know if you consider it funny or sad, but you'd probably make some money just by signing some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite at the whoring out myself stage yet. A lot of people, when I say a lot of people, maybe it's like half a dozen, but a few people have said, you should set up a Patreon. But I've got a good income from what I do outside of the YouTube channel. I'm actually pretty well off financially, so I don't feel the need to ask or look for more money, man. If anything, I'd just give it away. I don't really need extra finance,
Oh, fair enough. Good attitude, I suppose. Because I know a lot of because I think one thing comes to making videos on YouTube is that a lot of time it's kind of profits kind of end up controlling the actual creativity, and you don't really want that in the end.
No, I make bugger all money from the channel anyway. It's nothing amazing, so it's not paying rent or anything. It's not at that level.
Oh yeah. You're making a few grand off Google AdSense.
Yeah, it's 4 figures, but everything that comes out of it pretty much goes straight into buying games. If I can't get review copies, which is still, like I said, a pain in the ass, it just goes to buying games. I bought I don't want to give away any upcoming reviews, anyway, but I'm trying to get back into buying the original copies of games instead of digital versions. So I bought like Will Rock and the Chronicles of Riddick, the actual PC version, not the remastered edition. I bought Isle of the Dead for like $30, that's terrible PC game. So yeah, I'm trying to get back into that, buying physical copies. So it goes into that. It doesn't really go into anything else,
Wondering though, what happened to your lost videos?
My lost videos?
Yeah, because I remember, I know, one of those people, but back in the day of 2013, you had a review of Dead Space 3.
Oh, yeah, that was a shit review for starters. So I don't know, man. When I started to realize I was going to go towards that model where I think I was going to focus on FPS, I think I deleted it. But again, like a lot of those were, I think I used to record them on my iPhone. I used the voice memo. Sorry, and I would Yeah, I'd record on the iPhone and email it to myself, and the quality was just terrible, dude. I could upload them, but people aren't really missing out on much. They're pretty bad videos.
But I mean, like, also there was that other one that that I would say was a bit better than your Dead Space one, which was your Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer review.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was for a job interview at GameSpot. Actually, that wasn't
really.
Yeah, I went for this job at GameSpot. The that health kit video is actually part of the job interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I was in between jobs at the time, I was working as a labourer in Sydney at Piermont. You know where Piermont is.
Yeah.
And I saw on Seek.com, good old Seek, that there was a job at GameSpot as a video journalist, so doing video reviews. So I applied for the job. At the time on the YouTube channel was a few really dumb videos. I had like the Tourette's guy Left 4 Dead thing up there, which I guess they saw that and they were like, okay, this guy's into gaming. So I got into the interview. And they wanted me to make a couple of videos to show I could make videos quickly. So I made the Call of Duty one, which you've obviously seen, and the health kit one. And I really liked the health kit one. That went, I don't know how that got 40,000 hits. I think someone posted on Reddit. But the Call of Duty one just kind of sat there with like 100 views. So I just deleted it because I thought it was stupid. But they were just made literally for a job interview, which I lost to a gamer girl. And I won't get into that, but I could talk about that for another few hours. But yeah.
Oh, now explains everything. Sargon of Akkad, Thunderfoot. Dude, I think you have to get over it.
Yeah.
Nah.
You can actually. She's still on the GameSpot website. You can go up and you can go watch her videos. She's in every thumbnail. She's just sitting there in a Legend of Zelda t-shirt. I'm not bitter at all, if you can't tell. No.
So basically, we should just harass her.
No, it's okay. I went through a period where I was really pissed off about those kind of things, and I was like, "Oh, fuck this is bullshit." But no, I got over it, man. Look, if the job was worth getting, I would have got it. And if I look back on it now, and it probably would have been a pretty terrible job because you're sitting there just doing what they want you to do, basically. You know what I mean? Playing through every shitty game. At least like this, I can just do what I want, and I can work on the side and make decent money. You know? Oh,
absolutely. Because and you want to be kind of somewhat independent until Ubisoft passes you some money saying, hey, Far Cry Primal.
Yeah.
But no.
But I did get the collector's edition, which was pretty awesome. I won't lie. They gave me when I did the Far Cry review, they gave me a free copy, and it was like the collector's edition. So that was pretty cool. Got some free shit out of it. So I guess I did get paid off technically.
Actually, wondering though, would actually probably be the worst game you've actually reviewed on the channel?
Operation Body Count, without doubt.
Hey, what about what about that Terminator game?
Yeah, actually, that's I don't know. You know what? Because Operation Body Count is just a clusterfuck across the board. At least in the Terminator game, it's distinguishable. Actually, yeah. No, hang on. You're right, man. Yeah. What was that one called? Was that Future Shock? Is that?
Yeah, it was Future Shock.
Yeah, damn, that's good. I might have to reevaluate that. That game is literally unfinishable. Operation Body Count, you can at least finish it. Yeah, you might be onto something. Yeah.
Because I
have to go back and look at that now. You got me thinking now.
Because I know your codename Nina was pretty fucked.
That's pretty yeah. But again, you can play it from start to finish, and you can finish it. It's like you're playing it, you're like, God, this fucking sucks. But it's playable from start to finish. You know, there's nothing where you just can't get past a certain point. And it actually, surprisingly, as bad as it is, has some pretty good puzzles. Like it's actually cleverly designed puzzles.
And it has some unique ideas for the whole mind control.
Yeah, and the voice acting,
reading.
It genuinely is so bad that it's good. I think it's one of those games, you know, looking back on it now. I haven't played in a while, so maybe I'm just talking out my ass, but...
No, I know what you're talking about. Because, world's best spy, but whatever.
Yeah, she can't decide on an accent, though, but she's the world's best spy.
I was wondering though, when it comes down to we'll probably, because Max Payne's your favorite game.
Max Payne 2, I think, is probably one of my favorite games. It's probably, if not my top 5, it's definitely up there for sure.
Here's a good one though. Because we get requested to do a lot of videos and such. What would be the worst or like the most disappointing one you had to cover?
That is a good question. That is very good. Let me think, because I was chatting to someone about this the other day, and I was saying literally, I'd say 50% of the games that I've been asked to review, I've hated or I just really haven't liked.
Jesus.
Cryostasis. I've actually reviewed it. I'll upload it soon. But someone was saying, "Oh, you got to play Cryostasis," and I saw the screenshots. And you play it, man. It's a fucking mess. That game. It's just terrible. I don't know if you've played it, but it came at a point when I don't know. The optimization is just atrocious. It's a 10-year-old game and it runs like dog shit. But most of the games that I've been reviewed, people have asked me to review. I haven't really enjoyed because they're asking me to review it, I think, because they've got their own nostalgia attached to it. I think that Republic Commando review was a good example. Yeah. Everyone was like, because they would have been in their, teenagers when they played it, or maybe younger. So they're like, I remember playing this with my best bro when we were in high school, whatever, and then I play it now, and I'm like, well, this sucks, and this sucks. And yeah, it doesn't get the best reaction, So if it's coming from a place of nostalgia, then that's dangerous territory normally. Yeah.
Because I'd probably say that in some cases, nostalgia does blind for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that for sure as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's face it, Doom is, it's an okay game, but...
Yep, there's a lot of nostalgia. I still think that largely holds up, but I won't lie, it's a product of its time, but in terms of how old it is compared to how well it plays, I think it's definitely stood the test of time.
Oh, no, Doom is I still think Doom is a good game. Like, it's a very good game, but... Yep. Dude, have you played, what was it? Wish Haven? That game's the shit, bruh.
Yeah, that's a terrible game, yeah. It's funny how, I think I reviewed it ages ago, and it's funny too how that, what was it, Capstone Software developed it. They just had this thing in games at the time. You play Corridor 7 and then you play Witch Haven. They both do this stupid thing in the game where you're playing it and then randomly this face pops up on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a screamer before screamers were in, and it's just in those two games. You're playing Witch Haven and this skull pops up, and then in Corridor 7 it's like this alien face, and it plays this really loud sound. And it's like the lamest. It's the lamest possible way to scare you. But these guys did it before jump scares were like a thing, man. It's kind of funny how ahead of its time it was.
Very avant-garde, you could say. So
yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
You could say that maybe underestimated Capstone. I mean,
I wouldn't say that they're terrible, but there are a few Tech War, for instance, is a atrocious game, but it has some ideas in it that have sort of become pretty standard. You can travel on a subway system and go to different mission areas and stuff. No one was really doing that at the time, in FPS games. It was kind of a little bit ahead of its time, but it just suffered because it seemed no one at Capstone knew what the fuck they were doing.
Would you say that Capstone would be like your LJN?
Yeah, probably not. I wouldn't go that far. I don't hate him as much as what's his name? James hates LJN. I wouldn't go there. I didn't spend enough time with it. You know what I mean? But plus, when you're a kid, man, if something sucks, you're just like, well, that kind of sucks, and then you just go on to the next thing. I didn't really harp on it too much as a kid. I remember playing Witch Haven, and my dad and I took us. I couldn't tell you how long it took us to get the music working because it ran off a CD-ROM. So I think it played an intro cinematic, and we get in the game and it was all glitched out and shit, and there was no music, and we couldn't get sound, and it was just, even for its time, it was terrible upon release, man.
Now you've mentioned your dad a couple of times. Was he like one of those real old school kind of arcade kind of gamers?
He's look, my parents are very old fashioned in that way. The first console we played was an Atari. I don't know if it was a 2600 or 5200. That's the right models, isn't it? It's 26 and 50. Yeah. We had the first few games I ever played was Pitfall. We had Asteroids. We had Combat. I don't know if you ever played Combat. It was this really funny
tank game.
Yeah, it's so fucking hilarious. All those old games. So my parents were like OG gamers, man. They had Ataris and shit, and then we were spoilt kids. Me and my sister were spoilt rotten. We had the Super Nintendo. We had the Nintendo. We didn't have a Master System, but we had the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive. Then we got the PlayStation. That was the only time when that was the dividing thing. I think you either got a PlayStation or a 64, and that really determined where you were going from there. But no, they just spoiled us rotten, man. And my dad's an architect, so he needed a fast computer to render plans and shit. So we always had plenty of PC games because my dad just had the computer for it, and it was in the shareware day, so you couldn't not get games back then. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
They were giving them away for free. Wolfenstein 3D, that was everywhere when that game came out. Same with Doom. Everyone was playing the shareware version of Doom. I didn't even know there was a full version of Doom until I played it at someone else's house.
Because it's kind of interesting. Is that this is another telling sign of gaming industry.
Yeah.
So in the 90s, they would give you a third of the game for free.
Yeah,
And
if not more, really. Generally, sometimes you get, generally a third. Yeah, that's good. That's a good estimate, yeah.
Because you have, like, the first episode of Doom, like, you know, the entire first episode, and compare it to today, where you might get a beta that is bugged and will probably not change anything when the full release comes out.
Yep.
But, you know, it's kind of telling in a way, but,
They did the same with Quake and Heretic, and I don't think there was a shareware for Hexen. I don't believe there was, but I know there was one for Heretic. And like I said, Quake definitely had a shareware. That was the first episode.
Because, I mean, I kind of had a similar experience to what you had with Doom, except I was more into the Quake kind of era.
Yep. So a couple of years behind me, a little bit.
Yeah, a few years, because, you know, I was about 5 years old, you know, watching a guy with a chainsaw rip me a pieces. You know, it's a little bit, messes you up a little bit, but whatever.
Yep.
But no, I'm just wondering, though, because, with the, where you're taking the channel and such, because you reviewed, Resident Evil, would you, like, review, like, you know, RE4?
That was the Resident Evil thing. Was, to be honest, that was me testing the waters. Like I mentioned earlier, the guys that kind of manage my channel, they're pretty savvy dudes, and we just had a chat and we said, look, let's try seeing what happens if we kind of venture out a bit. Like last year, I reviewed a lot of third-person games that I wouldn't normally review. I played them anyway, but I wouldn't really go there. And that was really kind of testing the waters. And that was, I don't want to sound like a dick, but I didn't get the reaction I wanted from it, considering how many hours I spent playing it. I don't know if you played any of the games, but
Oh no, I played them.
Yeah, so you know you've got multiple campaigns, so you'll probably spend. I mean, Resident Evil 1, if you know what you're doing, you can finish it pretty quick. But Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, like a couple of hours each, and then you got to get all the footage, and it was a lot of work, man. And it wasn't really. People didn't react to it in the way like, oh, I want more of these videos, do this, do that. So I never really followed up on it. So I don't see myself, really doing that. Resident Evil 4, though, is an amazing game. I remember playing the HD edition. I played it on, I think it came out on PlayStation 2, right? That's where it came out on.
Yeah. GameCube, PS2.
And GameCube, yeah. I played it when it came out, not religiously, but I played it and finished it. And then I remember seeing it on Steam, the HD version, which is an utter mess too. That's another story. But
yeah.
The sound in that is that's such a messed up game. It's all buggered up. But anyway, I remember playing it and just thinking, God damn, like this game is still like really, good. Like 10 years on or whatever since it came out. Like it really just does hold up, I think,
Oh yeah. And again, I feel like it's kind of interesting because again, a lot of third-person action games have basically just taken the Resident Evil 4 template and built on it.
Yeah, I mean, it goes a bit south, near the end when there's statues coming to life and all that kind of stuff. There's that really weird quick time sequence where you're running from a giant whatever. But all in all, man, that's just such a cool game, and the story and the setting and the sound. It's fantastic how well it's hold it up over time.
Oh yeah, I mean, like it's I'd probably argue it's the best in the series because it just plays well. It still plays well and has a ton of replayability with the New Game Plus.
Yeah, see, that's where I get the nostalgia coming in. It's always the second one for me because that's the first one I played, and I think a lot of people are the same. That it's kind of rose tinted in that sense.
Because yeah, I mean, I would say all the games are really cool, and it was cool. It was a cool. I thought it was not to commit fellatio too much, but it was a good video overall. I thought it was really cool to have a trilogy kind of retrospective.
Yeah.
And but no, Resident Evil games. I mean, I'd say they're pretty unique, worth getting into, and but you're whatever. Now here's something though. Now I know this kind of deviates slightly, but
yes.
Okay, so I mentioned a while ago you heard about the drunken peasants.
The drunken peasants? What's that?
Well, okay, so The Amazing Atheist?
Yep.
Yeah, now, just asking, what do you think of him?
I used to hate the guy, to be honest. When I was, I mean, he's been around for a while, but when I first saw him, I was like, oh, this guy's a pain in the ass. But I really like some of his, the Gamergate stuff that he goes into, and his videos where he rips Anita Sarkeesian, you arsehole. I could just listen to people tear her apart all day, and I would never get bored. He's funny, man. I'll give the guy credit, and he's not. It's not. I don't think it's pseudo intelligence. I think he's a pretty smart dude. And some of the stuff he says, like the one he recently did where he was talking about her latest video about. I don't remember what the last one. What was the title? Something about butts in games, like how it's bad because you can see a character's butt, and it's like, well, you still see the male butt, and just. just flat out, showing how much of a fucking hypocrite she is with things like the Batman review, and she's saying, "Oh, you can't see Batman's ass," and it's like, well, yeah, he's wearing a fucking cape, so what do you expect? But it's entertainment, but it's also like what the dude is saying is kind of, I won't say profound, but it's legit. Like what his criticisms are legit. So I don't mind his stuff, to be honest. I don't watch all these videos. I see some of the titles, and I'm like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. But the gaming related stuff, I think, is pretty spot on.
I agree. Because because I had the pleasure of having a conversation about video games with a to the bone kind of feminist, and it's pretty cringy. It was good in the way that you basically bring up Anita, and you basically say, she kind of bullshits her way through things, and it's basically, well, she's calling out sexism in the industry. I'm like, but most of the people you kill in video games are men.
Yeah.
So isn't that
90%, just like in real life even? I mean, I think they say 90% of homicides are men, so it's no different to life in that kind of regard. Like it's like we could talk about that forever though. You open up a can of worms.
Well, we'll get flagged and destroyed. But I do remember in some of your earlier videos, one of them was a Doom mod, where basically people coming out saying, "Hey, dude, why you being mean to the feminists?"
Which one was that? Do you remember? Was that Grezzo?
Yeah, Grezzo.
Okay,
so maybe you had a couple of conversations with people, and do you still kind of get that?
Yeah, all the time, man. Not so much anymore, but I don't like. I know they say ignore trolls, but I think it's Poe's Law, whatever it's called, where it's like it's a fine line between when someone's genuinely being an idiot and they're actually doing it as a parody, or they're messing around and you can't tell. So I'm at that point where I just treat everyone like they're an idiot and I just tell them off, basically. But if you can't see that social justice warriors are the worst thing that's happening on the internet, then I don't want to deal with you, basically. You should be able to look at these people and say, that is fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? If they went through it and they said, violent games don't make people violent, then you can't turn around and say sexist games, which are not sexist anyway, but you can't turn around and say it makes men sexist. It's just simply not true.
Oh, no. It's completely false. And what I think, what frustrates me the most about it, because again, I want to keep that lid on the can pretty tight, but
I don't mind talking about it. I just don't want to
deviate too much into it.
Yeah, because look, I don't want to get into feminism in general, because I got a lot to say about that, and I don't know if I'll piss off people talking about it. So yeah, keep it to the gaming side of things. That's fine, though. I'm not too worried. Yeah.
Because I think my problem with the whole the SJW kind of games related stuff is that it kind of destroys any sense of actual criticism you may have on some games. Now, I don't really have that many, because it's like, for me, it's like, people have criticized Martin Scorsese for having male and female protagonists, generic, kind of cliched kind of characters. I'm like, who fucking cares? It's his films, he can do what he wants.
Yep.
If you don't like him, then don't fucking watch him. But I think when it comes down to it, is that a lot of the time they'll point out mundane bullshit and pretty much bitch about that instead of focusing on something that's actually legitimate. A good example, Amazing Atheist. He did a fundraiser campaign drive for women who are oppressed in other countries and whatnot.
Yep.
And it was great because all these other social justice warrior kind of sites were basically going, oh, look at it, it's all bullshit, it's a scam, the money's just going back into his account and stuff, and with no proof or anything. They're so jaded and they're so bitter about it, even though when they're confronted with actual,
facts,
evidence.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention something, because shit, completely deviated, but The Drunken Peasants is basically a podcast run by the Amazing Atheist and another guy called Ben.
Okay.
And basically they watch videos on YouTube and from all sorts of the interwebs and such, and they do commentary on them, and they basically they'll rebuttal them, talk about them, maybe expand on a few points, and generally it's pretty interesting. I find some of their commentary kind of interesting. It's more of a guilty pleasure. But here's the thing though, quite a few of your audience folks are from the Drunken Peasants, but also watch the Drunken Peasants. And I know for a fact that, there's people like me, other Aussies, that want more Australian representation on the show. And I'm thinking to myself, who's a guy that doesn't buy into the whole SJW bullshit narrative, and and also has also is able to has some minor involvement with it. I'm thinking, dude, that I know, up to you, bruh, but I think it'd be kind of interesting to see what would happen if you got onto the show, and all you'd have to do is basically just tweet him. Basically just tweet him or ask him, saying, hey, how would is it possible for me to get on the show? But I think it'd be kind of entertaining, but it's up to you, bruh, because you may look at it and go, it kind of looks like a load of shit, and I wouldn't blame you about that. But no, it's some interesting stuff because they've got people like Sargon of Akkad and Thunderfoot.
Yeah, he's a cool. Thunderfoot is just amazing, man. I'd love to pick his brain.
Phil, he's a really interesting guy. But what's impressive is how long he's been around for.
Yeah, he's been sort of around YouTube since the start, from what he seems to say.
I mean, it's kind of interesting how everyone tries to take him on. Like, I mean, you were there when the whole laughing witch thing happened, right?
Yep.
That was a whole bundle of fun.
But he keeps coming out on top. I mean, the guy delivers, man. So he's the real deal. You just don't mess with him. You don't mess with people like that because they'll rip you apart. And that's the biggest problem with them too, is that it's cherry picking their arguments and it's a closed discussion. Like, you never hear, whenever they make a response video to like someone like Thunderfoot makes a response video, there's never a response video after that because they know they've been served. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that Anita thing is the whole classic example. There's no ratings, there's no comments, because it's easier to put your hand over your ears than it is to face the truth and say, geez, what I'm saying is actually fucking bullshit. Instead of addressing it, and like you say, I haven't listened to the Drunken Peasants, but I guess it's more of the same, is just calling people out on this bullshit. But it's like a little kid, covering their ears. If I don't see it happening, it's not happening,
Because, I mean, I may not agree with everything, a lot of the anti-SJW crowd says, but the fact remains is that they actually allow you to discuss, some of their points of view instead of just going, agree with me or fuck off.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge difference in my books.
Look, telling someone how it is and what you think without them being able to say anything back is dictatorship. There's nothing else to it. It's just, There's no point doing it. You may as well just close. There's no argument or discussion there. It's just you saying this is how it is. That's all.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, actually, here's something though. I know you're a big fan of people like Steve Shives. So I think because the Drunken Peasants, they're big fans of Steve Shives. So I think if you guys, you know who Steve Shives is?
No, I haven't heard of him.
Oh, mate, you're gonna enjoy Steve Shives once you get to see one of his videos.
Is he a drunken peasant guy?
Not really. He's the kind of guy that will block you because Steve Shives. I'm surprised you haven't watched him because I haven't heard of him. No. If you have a gander at his channel, you'll understand exactly what makes Steve Shives. Yeah. Anyway, to basically put it bluntly, I'd probably say that your channel's pretty fucking cool, and I basically feel like some, looking at the questions and I've more or less kind of gone over most of them and stuff. I'm approaching the hour mark in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm basically wondering, would be anything else you wanted to discuss on or anything?
I don't know. What else do you want to ask me?
So I do admit it, there was something funny though in your face reveal episode, is that you said earlier on saying that being white as a sheep, you couldn't go outside.
Sheep.
Sheep.
Yeah.
Sorry. You couldn't go outside, so you played video games. And I thought, exaggeration, but
little bit of exaggeration, yeah.
I don't know, bro. I mean, like, I thought I was pretty white, but then, damn, dude, that's all I can say.
Yeah, I've got pretty much every genetic fuck up you can think of, man. I'm colorblind. I had a hearing problem when I was a kid. I think I'm all right now, but my hearing's pretty shit. If I'm in like a pub and someone's talking to me, I have to like get them to repeat shit. So I've got the bad hearing. I've got I get really bad allergies. I've got the skin. I've got the red hair, which people don't really care about red hair anymore. But if you remember the early 2000s, you couldn't walk down the street without getting called, a red-headed rat rooter, all that kind of stuff. I've got it all, man. But I'm 6'5", so I'm doing all right. I got the height thing, so I'll never be called a manlet. So I got that going for me.
But you said you were colorblind.
Yeah, I'm colorblind. Yeah.
Oh wow! I mean,
yeah, that's actually in this Doom review. I didn't even pick it up because I mean, I always miss something in the videos, and I said the imps were green, and they've always been green to me. And people are like, they're fucking brown, man. So I didn't even pick up on that.
Jeez,
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, that's actually pretty interesting because I mean, color blindness.
For a guy who does videos for a living and he's colorblind, I know. I just don't tell people because it's the worst part is when you tell them and they want to find out what every color is to you. What's this color? What does this color look like? I said, well, it looks the same to what you fucking see it. I perceive it differently, you know?
Oh yeah, but I'm not gonna bother you about that.
No. Yeah, it's like when with the height too. I get, do you play basketball? Do you play football? Kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing.
Because to be fair, I mean, I see you and I go, hey, shit, is this like, Agent 47? It kind of explains quite a few things. Albino as hell.
Yeah, I'm pretty white, yeah.
But no, again, you're not trying to get into the whole pigmentation thing, but I gotta feel sorry for you when you go to the beach.
Yeah, and I live near the beach. Like, I live in Sutherland Shire, which you probably know where it is. It's Cronulla, man. It's right next to the beach. So
Cronulla's fantastic.
Yeah, I did the Surf Lifesaving Club. I did swimming and all that kind of thing when I was a kid. So it just slip, slap, slap, man. That was what the 90s was all about, No hat, no play, son. So it was all good. Just had to, deck myself out in protective gear.
Oh, but I mean, would you, I'm wondering, though, because there actually is quite a few and I know it seems a bit odd because asking this because you're an Australian and such. Would you have any like kind of a opinion on our politics and whatnot?
No comment.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't want to start on that.
Oh no, sure. Yeah. That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. I think you and I agree from what I've seen anyway. We're pretty much on the same page. So yeah.
Okay. Fair. But no. If I had to say, though, you said that Superman movie was shit.
Yeah, we could talk about that. That was a piece of shit, wasn't it?
What made it so bad? Because I watched Man of Steel back in, what was it, 2011?
Yeah, 2012, I think, was Man of Steel.
I think so, but I mean, I watched it and I thought it was pretty cringeworthy, but, whatever. I thought, surely the sequel will improve on things. Hey, Batman's in it. You got Ben Affleck in it.
Yeah.
Well, what made it so awful?
I don't know where to start. Maybe I saw it with a bunch of people who all were indifferent about it, and I was the only one who kind of came out of the cinema saying how terrible it was. I'm not a massive fan of the comics. I read the comics when I was a kid, but I never read them like issue by issue. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I was a spoiled kid, man. So if I went, and I don't think I was a shithead kid. I was just spoiled. So I wasn't like, I want that. But I mean, if I went to the news agency and I said, oh, can I get the Superman comic? My dad, yeah, sure, I'll get that. And you'd get the connecting stories, but I never followed it religiously. But Superman's a cool hero, man, and Batman too. Like, I've got a lot of the old detective comics. I've still got them, the originals. They're battered to shit. So, I got interest in it. And you want to see certain things in them. And I don't know, it felt like it looked like a comic book movie, and I think that's the good thing about Zack Snyder is he's good with visuals. Like, you see things in them and you're like, yeah, he knows how to put shots together, but the first hour of that movie, I don't remember really anything happening that was worthy. You've got the world's greatest detective who's planting a bug at Lex Luthor's party. I don't know if you've seen the movie, spoilers, but
fine, go ahead.
This is the world's greatest detective, ninja trained by whatever League of Assassins or whatever, and doesn't think to look over his shoulder, and he's getting followed by Lex Luthor's aide. You know what I mean? Like, it's things like that. You're watching, you're like, well, hang on, what the hell's going on here? And it was just disappointing. The fight scene lasted 5 minutes. The title of the movie lasted 5 minutes. Batman vs Superman. They fought for not even 10 minutes. And that was it. And then it just it felt like they threw in Doomsday because it's like, well, we got to put something in here. So he popped up, and that was it. And there was a fight scene, and then spoilers. Superman dies.
Oh well, I mean I think most. Well, that's the thing. Doomsday is meant to be the only thing that can kill Superman. So a lot of people already called that out. But I mean, they'll bring him back for sure. Oh,
yeah, of course. But the problem is too is that whoever was in control of the marketing for that really shit the bed because there was nothing left unspoiled from the trailers. Literally every cool moment in that movie was ruined by the trailers. So you had Zod being shown in the body bag. You had Wonder Woman, stopping the bloody thing with the braces or whatever, it was a shield or whatever it was. You had the Batman fight scene ruined. You had Doomsday appearing even was ruined. There was a shot of him in the trailer where he kind of jumps off a building or something. So there was you went into that movie and then it was like a play-by-play. You're like, okay, that's that bit from the trailer. That's that bit from the trailer. So there was no surprise to it,
Oh yeah, because I don't know if you watch Angry Joe or anything, but
I'm on the fence with him. I really like him sometimes. I actually like his movie reviews, but his game reviews just tone down the skits, brother. Like, just turn it down, man.
No. Yeah, some of the humor.
It's a bit hit and miss. Yeah,
I'd say it's mostly miss. But it's very at times very cringy, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of funny because he called out the Superman movie when the trailer came out. And he basically said it's gonna go like this, it's gonna happen like this. They had too much advertisement, and voila, too much fucking advertisement, and then the movie's just a pile of garbage. And it's kind of funny because you have Deadpool, what was
that was amazing. It was awesome.
Yeah, it made on a fraction of the budget. And it had basically just a marketing campaign of saying, yeah, we're gonna have a lot of swearing, it's gonna have a lot of violence, it's gonna be fun. And that movie makes like about $500-600 million, and again, only $50 million budget, and it clearly shows they had a lot more fun with that movie than they ever did with the Superman movie.
The benefit too of Deadpool is if you've got a movie where the character is constantly making jokes, you can show jokes in the trailer. You can show the high points, but a movie like Batman versus Superman, it doesn't have many high points. Like, it's kind of, there's talking for a bit, a little bit of action, then talking for more. You know what I mean? You can't afford to show the high points when there's not enough of them. That's what I felt about. Like I said, it was all the good bits you knew were coming. Like that massive reveal of Wonder Woman. They shouldn't have shown that. You know what I mean? Imagine you just watching that movie and she jumps down and that fucking music kicks in. That should have been a moment in the cinema. People would have walked out and been like, fuck, man, remember that bit when Wonder Woman showed? That was awesome. But we knew it was coming. You knew as soon as Batman's sitting there and he's about to get blown away that no, he wasn't, because Wonder Woman's about to pop up because the fucking trailer showed it 50 times, Yeah,
exactly. And
I'm swearing a lot too. Sorry, I'm really swearing a lot.
Dude, it's fine. Hey, it's all fine. We all get blood starts to boil at shitty movies.
Yeah. Zack Snyder.
I mean, I have to say though, it's going to be interesting about the next big blockbuster coming out. Fucking Ghostbusters 3.
Oh yeah, that's a mess too, isn't it? Yeah.
I kind of, in a weird way, I want that to be good just to see the reaction is. Like, I want it to be like Oscar worthy, but I know it's not. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of most production companies, still plenty of great movies coming out. Deadpool, Revenant. I enjoy Revenant, but you had I think a lot of it's very corporate at times, like Superman movie, Ghostbusters. It's all very much by the numbers, very cookie cutter.
Yeah, which is why Ghostbusters is such a strange business move, because it really is a cult film. It's not like it was huge, but it's not like you don't look back on it in the sense if you look back from other films from that period in that way. I mean, it's not like a masterpiece. It's just a really cool film. It's really funny to watch. Yeah.
And it was just it wasn't like Star Wars, which has this huge following and a real cultural impact. It's more of a Shawshank Redemption kind of work that's like a handful of people have watched and they go, it's pretty goddamn good, and then they walk away satisfied. And to make an actual sequel to a film that only a handful of people watched but still enjoyed is basically like biting the hand that feeds you, especially in terms that you basically say, well, who gives a fuck about the actual makeup of the movie? We can basically just bullshit our way through with a shitty comedy. I mean, it might be decent, but I'm not holding my breath.
No, it'll be a piece of shit. There's no doubt. The biggest problem too is like the trailer's not doing any favors. And it's not about the female cast. That's got nothing to do with it. It's just that it is not funny. Like, there's literally no joke in the trailer. Like I'm a huge fan of Kevin Smith. I don't know if you watch Kevin Smith's videos.
Oh, but, no, yeah. Huskin, yeah.
Yeah, I commonly put his podcast on, or I watch one of his videos and I'll just like zone out if I'm doing work on the computer. I'll listen to him while he's crapping away. And he made a really good point about that, which was it's the kind of movie that hasn't had, like, they haven't had test screenings to get people to look at it, and say that's stupid, that's stupid, that's stupid. And he basically summed that trailer up by saying that is a result of what happens when you don't have test screenings. Because no outside influence has gone, that's just stupid. And they've just put all these jokes that are just going to fall flat on its ass. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of that stuff carries on to the final film. I don't even know when it's getting released. It's not till next year, right?
I know it'll be later this year.
Well, then we're really up shit creek then, as they say.
But even then, like, I mean, Kevin Smith, I mean, he can't really talk. I mean, have you seen Cop Out?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but the good thing about him, and I really give the guy respect too, is that he admits that Cop Out was a massive fuck up. When you hear him, whenever he brings it up, and he talks about it a lot, believe it or not, in his videos, but he outright admits, he's like, I'm not saying my films are any good when he talks shit about other films. So I give the guy props for that, but I mean, that got what, like 20% on Rotten Tomatoes or something?
Oh no, even less. And then
did it really?
Yeah, it's like fuck Bruce Willis basically.
Oh.
Yeah, he wrote a book basically talking about how Bruce Willis was a bit of a cunt.
Yeah, I saw the video about that. That's pretty funny. He goes on for like an hour and a half about how much he hates Bruce Willis.
But no, it's kind of it is kind of funny watching Die Hard 4 and seeing that scene with Kevin Smith and Bruce Willis talking to each other.
And they hate each other, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's a bit of sweetness,
Yeah. So there's another Die Hard after that, isn't there? There's Die Hard
Fight 5.
That's the one with the Aussie guy in it too. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, I
I'm
think so.
Yeah.
Also pretty terrible, but whatever. What you gonna do? Did you actually did you watch Tusk?
No, what's that?
It's a Kevin Smith movie. The one where that Canadian American podcast dude goes to
that's his recent one. Yeah, it came out a couple of years ago, right? Yeah, no, I haven't seen that one. Yeah,
it's a strange one. But yeah, Tusk, interesting movie. But but here's one though. Now you told me that you didn't tell me, but you told the whole internet that the best thing ever is basically the Rubin sandwich. How the fuck did that come into the videos?
I don't know, man. Yeah, Rubin sandwiches are pretty good.
Now I understand why you were saying, hold on, let me just fix a sandwich. Rubin sandwich, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe. Look, I don't know. I just that's always been a go-to sandwich. You've obviously had one, right?
One in the past, I think.
You should really have one soon. They use the cheese in it. I'm not sure what type of cheese it is, but it's a really nice bread. It's corned beef. I think it's corned beef, right? Yeah, corned beef. And it's just something about it. It's just like it's the excess of every possible thing you could have. Just a nice big fat piece of cheese and some beef, man. It's got everything you need. And I was just being a smartass. I think I brought it up in
Deadlight.
Was it
Dying Light?
Was it? No, there was one before that. I think when I first said it, and then people just kept repeating it after that. It might have been Call of Duty. I think it was.
Yeah, Call of Duty.
I was just looking. 2? Yeah, I was just being a smartass because I thought that game was pretty shit. So I thought I'll just put a sandwich analogy in there, But they're good. Look, any sandwich, to be honest, is better than Black Ops 3. I genuinely believe that because. If you sit there for 8 hours or 6 hours of playing Black Ops 3, you don't really get anything out of it. But if you eat a sandwich in 6 hours, you get nutritional value. So it's really got the benefit of it over that anyway, man. Could be any sandwich. Could be, well, maybe not a shit sandwich, but it could be any type of sandwich, really.
I mean, I was kind of expecting. From you a proper sandwich review of the Rubin, but
I was going to do that for April Fool's. I thought about it. I didn't have time, man. I've been so busy with work, and I was at a bloody conference all weekend. I just didn't have time. I would have loved to do a video on it.
I was going to say that, but I am actually. Here's one though. I mentioned this one about a year ago on the last April Fool's when you reviewed. I think it was Dead Effect. And it was basically why you haven't reviewed Ethnic Cleansing and Zog's Nightmare yet. What's
Zog's Nightmare? I know what Ethnic Cleansing is. I know about that one. Zog's Nightmare. I haven't heard of that one.
I'll give you the title, and you can pretty much summarize it. Zog's Nightmare. Zionist occupied government.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's kind of interesting. Imagine Ethnic Cleansing just with better graphics.
Is it abandonware? Is it like a free game, or is it like
I mean, I'd say free. I'd say it's free in how a virus is free.
Okay. So
it's basically at your own risk. Your moral, your own psychological and
It's like a Grezzo 2 kind of thing. Is it that type of level?
No. Because Grezzo was good because it took itself. Yeah, it was having fun. The problem is about Zogs and I Man ethnic cleansing is that they were made with complete dead seriousness.
I'm still not sure about Grezzo. I still don't know what pretense that game was made under. I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I know it seems like parody, but I don't know. Like I said, Poe's Law. You can't tell sometimes if people are the real deal.
I think it was a more of a parody on Italian politics and Italian culture because of I know there some parts of their government structure is very kind of broken down a bit, and I think it's more of a protest in some respects, like the Vatican and whatnot. But yeah, bro, I mean, but come on, dude, what's the excuse for not reviewing ethnic cleansing?
Look, there's not enough hours in the day, to be honest, and it's one of those things. You need a specific mindset, man, to get into that type of game. And what do you say about it? Like, to be objective, you say this game's a piece of shit. It's kind of hard. I think you need to tap into a different mindset to play something like that. Like when I played Grezzo 2, my initial reaction is like, what the hell is this? Like, what is this about? You know what I mean? Any normal person's going to go, this game's like unbelievable. You're murdering grannies in a church with a flamethrower, but you kind of got to step out of that. So it's I'll get there. Don't get me wrong. I'll definitely check it out. I've heard that one a lot. Ethnic cleansing. It keeps popping up. That and that bloody Spec Ops game. I don't hear the end of that one either.
Well, I'll tell you that it depends how you cover it because basically, I mean, who knows? Like, you might cover it and you get a good few laughs, but the issue is that you probably get a lot of the uber alt-right on your channel, and you might not want. And there might be a bit of. I mean, the shitstorm in the comments will be kind of fun, but who knows? It might be worth a few laughs, but I don't think it'd be worth the. Maybe it is. Depends on the kind of audience you want.
Is it playable though? That's the only thing. Can I play it from start to finish and I'll be fine?
Well, the last boss is I think it's like a Jew demigod. And I mean, it's kind of great in that kind of respect that it's so absurdly wrong in so many respects.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like I don't know. I know some people will definitely take a huge offense when they actually play it or hear about it or whatnot. But the fact is, you play a white nationalist game where you run around with a shotgun, you shoot black people, and they make monkey sounds and they die. Like, it's so fucked up. I can't help but kind of go.
You can't play it seriously, yeah. You can't.
No. You also want to kind of also look at it. It's like a train wreck happening in slow motion. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any feelings towards the game. It's an awful game. It's a shitty game. It's like I'd say it's about as bad as Body Count.
That's a bit cool. That's very good call.
No, I'd say it's about as bad because I think I'd say it's about as bad. The difference is, however, is that game is free. Body Count actually requires some money to track down, unless you just download ROMs.
Yeah, I've got it on a CD-ROM. If you want it, I can send it to you. I've got Body Count. Yeah.
Fuck that noise, dude. I don't want to touch that shit. I mean, also, I'm too much. I'll be too horrified by the thought that the box was thrown away.
I know.
But now, to get something to more palatable, something a bit more, digestible and not horrifying, how would you... Now, you told me that you do review the console kind of games via ROMs and such?
Yeah, it depends what the game is.
Because with I know PS1 games you do. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but the PS1, like Resident Evil, Alien Trilogy, that kind of stuff. That's kind of ROM.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Internet.
Yep.
But your PS2 and some of you, have you reviewed Xbox games yet? Xbox
no, I haven't. No, I never owned an Xbox. Again, like I said, I got the PlayStation, then I was PlayStation 2, and it was just that strand. So PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. So I never got into the Xbox thing. That's why I said when I played Halo, if it wasn't on the PC, I probably wouldn't have played it. And I only played the 64 games because I had a friend who had a 64. You know what I mean? So that like I said, I really think that defined where you were going with gaming, depending on which platform you went with.
Because I know that you did review the Time Splitters games.
Yeah.
And you reviewed Black. Yeah. but also, you talked about how there's a lot of graphical issues with capturing footage. And to be pretty frank, you're probably worth investing into a Dazzle.
We've spoken about that a fair bit before, haven't we?
Yeah, because I'd say I'm probably gonna make a video about the Dazzle at some point just to help schmoes like you and me when it comes to recording consoles and such, because you'll find that you either get basically a very good resolution, like a satisfactory resolution and a good frame rate, but you often get awful kind of graphical glitches, like black skyboxes, a lot of some weird jaggies and just things not really looking right.
Some games are unplayable. I'm doing a review of I've finished it, but it's the review for, is it Nightfire or Agent Under Fire? It's Nightfire, I think, is the next James Bond game.
Yeah.
There's a PC version, there's the console version, and the console version is unplayable on an emulator. It just doesn't work. So I just bit the bullet and I played it I actually used my Ava Media, whatever, to capture it. And then the interesting thing about that is that the PC version is completely different to the PS2 version or the console version.
In what ways?
PS2 version has vehicle sections. It has a completely different, not completely different story, but the story is told differently. And then you play the PC version, and it runs on the the Half-Life engine.
Oh, okay.
And there's no vehicle sections, and then it has points where it has the same cinematics, but it misses cinematics. So there's a point when you're on this island, and then suddenly a character that was in a cinematic with you 5 minutes ago was suddenly in jail, and you're like, well, how did you get in jail? It's what I mean? It's a real massive mess up that they made, but it's actually the only instance I can really think of, I think, where a console version is better than the PC version of a game. No,
I know what you mean. Oh, well, there was the other type with Exhumed and Power Slave.
That's another good example. That's probably the definitive version of like a console version kicking a PC game's ass. And they're actually remastering. Night Dive Studios are remastering not the console version. I think they're redoing the PC version, which would be awesome because it's actually a pretty good Doom clone, I think.
Oh no, man. Well, I'd say it's a bit a bit simplistic calling it a Doom clone because it has it's more. In fact, it's kind of a little bit similar to Dark Forces in ways how you have lives. You kind of have it feels a little bit less linear than Doom. It feels more bit more realistic in layout, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it's still key hunting though, in a sense. The console version's a completely different kettle of fish, but I think the PC version still run here, shoot these guys, get the key, exit. But yeah, it's definitely more advanced, I think, than Doom graphically too. It's got a lot more going on. I think it runs off the build engine too, actually. The PC version. Yeah.
Because I'd say that's gonna be kind of like, actually, you're saying you used Ava Media.
I think it's the Ava Media. I haven't used it very much, but I've only captured a few console games. I'm pretty sure it's the Ava Media one. Actually, no, it's the Elgato. Sorry, it's the Elgato HD.
How would you say the quality about that is, like, use and stuff?
Oh, the quality is awesome. It's amazing. The difference, I've got two capture cards. I've got the Elgato, which is like a $200 capture card, and I've got a shitty one that I had before that from eBay, which was literally $30. And the eBay one, the cheap one, you stick a thumb drive into the side, you put the HDMI in the front and the back, and then you just press a button on the capture card to record. Captures in 60 frames. Quality's, I think it's 15,000 bit rates per second or whatever it is the on the file size. And then the Elgato can let you capture up to anything you want, but you got to run it through a laptop.
Yeah, a laptop?
Or not a laptop, but just a computer. You got to run it off a program, and you got to click record on this program. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And the HDMI signal drops out all the time, which I've actually heard is a known issue with them, or with this model. The new one doesn't have it, but the old one apparently drops out all the time. So it's a what do you call it? A decision between, do you want the better quality or do you just want to have the simplicity of capturing it? And a lot of the stuff I just ended up using the cheap one because it was easier.
But was this the one you used for your PS3 reviews, like Resistance and
the cheap one? Yeah, I used the cheap one for the PS3 reviews. I reviewed a couple of the PS4 games on the expensive one because I don't know why I did that actually. Oh yeah, because you need the normal card. The cheap one can't bypass the protection thingy that the PS4 has. Doesn't it have some block where you can't record? Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
That was for the Destiny review, right?
Yeah, I think I had to use the expensive one for that.
But no, because I'd say when it comes down, can you actually record PS2, PS1 kind of stuff with the Elgato?
You can, yeah. I've got a Now, this is probably buggering up the signal, but there's a thing that you can get which turns is it the component cable? Is that the name of the connection?
Is that the... Well, component is blue, white... shit. I don't know, composite is red, yellow, and white.
Yeah, it's you've got the component cable and you've got the little colors and then you've got the one that's attached to it. And it's like a big fat sort of connection. I think I don't know what the name of the connection is, but I've got a thing that converts that to HDMI.
That's pretty neat, man.
Yes, but I'm not sure what's lost in terms of recording it, like if it's playing with the signal and it buggers up the video quality. And I'm a bit of a whore, man, for I think that comes from my editing background. I'm a bit of a whore for the best possible quality, so that's why I've steered away from console games, because I think what's the resolution of the PS2? It's like 320 or something really shit, isn't it? Is it really low like that?
Oh yeah, yes. I know some games push the limits of it a bit, like I know Gran Turismo and I think Shadow of the Colossus, but but most of the time, a lot of the earlier stuff is just pretty garbage.
Yeah, and I tried playing Killzone a few months back. I thought, okay, I'm going to review these games, and I played Killzone 1. And I don't remember it being that bad, but I played it on my PS2, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, how did I finish this? Like, it feels like it's like 10 frames a second, and it's just like the filters and the load times. Yeah, but it's like, I can't believe that we put up with this stuff, you know?
I think that's probably the defining feature and probably the weakest thing about that kind of older kind of gaming is that it gets progressively longer the load times, or 10 depends on what cartridge or CD, but pretty much kills it in many ways because you play games like Killzone and Time Splitters, which have especially Time Splitters where you die quite quickly. You want to get back to the action, and you get kind of fucked over in that regard.
I remember Time Splitters. Time Splitters had a much more stable frame rate. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it was 60. I don't think it would have been 60 frames.
Oh no, it'd be 30 frames.
I'm sure it was locked at 30 though. Yeah, I remember that being real. That to me, I think was the best FPS on the PS2 because they just got the controls. They're like, look, this is a gimped controller, but it just worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was kind of a. Yeah, it was kind of like a very lighter version of something from Quake or something, but it was more. It was more kind of men's dueling kind of thing instead of actual like frag fests.
Yeah, good game.
But what's actually funny thing about the Time Splitters? You know how they have that really in-depth map, pretty simple but effective map editor. Well, they're basically ripping that up and porting it over to Doom 4.
Yeah, I've seen the videos for that actually. Yeah,
it looks kind of interesting, but it also looks. It also I could be reminded of the fact that we've had that new feature has been around since 2005.
Yeah, I mean Far Cry, the original Far Cry had a map editor. I think even Unreal had its own editor. You could just make your own maps. Even Doom had it. Like we're going way back now, man. But
so it's really not much new.
It's nothing amazing. But the Time Splitters thing that was a piece of shit. But I think you could only make multiplayer maps, right? Or could you make single player maps?
No, I don't think you can make single player maps.
And it was very basic. It was very basic, wasn't it? You chose like a theme, and then you could just make. There's a few tiles, but you weren't making anything near what they had in the actual game. But yeah, it was pretty addictive.
I know this may sound like a dumb question, but have you reviewed Time Splitters 3 yet?
Future Perfect? No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't played it actually. It's something I haven't played. Yeah.
To be frank, that game is it feels very Call of Duty in terms of how it's paced. Like it's kind of like Time Splitters 1 had it was kind of very episodic in kind of nature. Like it was like you went from a Wild West setting to a Notre Dame setting and so on and so forth. Well, it feels kind of it's not a bad game. It's a good game, but it definitely feels more gamey, I guess. You'll understand when you play it, but but I was wondering though, because I mean again, sorry to bring it up again, but you have with the capturing PS2 gaming and footage and such. Have you are you working on any other PS2 reviews in the works?
No, not really. I mean, apart from the Agent Under Fire thing. Was it Agent Under Fire? Yeah, Agent Under Fire. Yeah.
No, Nightfire.
Nightfire, yeah. Which is actually, it's not a bad game. The PS2 version is not too bad. The controls, like I said, I think the controls are just the biggest thing that let those games down. If you could just plug a mouse and a keyboard in, they'd be fine. But I don't think it's, a dickish thing to say that a lot of those games just don't play very well. But like I said, Killzone is, I consider it unplayable, dude, to be honest with you.
that's fair.
I just can't play it. I mean, I finished it when it came out and I loved it, and then going back now, and I think there's that period in gaming, and it is just that console. I think the PlayStation 2, like, is something about it. Like, games on the PS1, you can still plug a PS1 in. Go play Power Slave. Go play, what's that other game? The really funny one where you got the superpowers. What's that game on PlayStation 1 where you shoot out superpowers and you're like a soldier?
No, I know what you're talking about.
What's it called? You know the one I'm talking about? It's like a sci-fi game.
I'm just trying to think, because there's one of those... it's like third...
Disruptor. It's Disruptor, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Disruptor.
You go back and play those games, man. They're still fun to play. The controls are good. The frame rate is pretty good for the console. But something about the PS2, and I can't comment on the Xbox because I never played too many of the games, but the PS2, a lot of those games are just terrible. And I think it was like the accessibility. I know the PS2 was supposed to be an easy console, wasn't it, for people to develop games? You had games like, Triple X BMX and, but was it? It's like a one where you're like backyard wrestling with nude chicks and all this kind of garbage. There was just this cesspool of shit that got made for the PS2.
Oh no, the PS2. Well, it sold like 150 million units, and I mean there are some like they're legitimately because I mean there are some amazing games for the PS2, like some really recently played through Silent Hill 2, and it was kind of interesting to play through it.
Yeah, that's in my top 10 again, man, for sure. Number one.
I mean. It's an interesting game because of how it paces itself, how it plays, and like graphically, the game looks really nice in its shadows.
Because it plays to its strengths. It's like they developed that game for the PlayStation 2, I think, which is why games like that work. It's like Killzone was trying to push that console to its limits, and it shouldn't have.
Far
exactly, yeah. Then, having said that, you look at the black magic they achieved in like MGS3 and Metal Gear Solid 2. I mean, how the hell did they pull off that stuff? And that game's, I think, locked at 30 frames. It never seems to dip much.
Oh, no. MGS 2 and 3 look amazing. But actually, Killzone, that game kind of blows chunks, not because it's the PS2, but because they pushed it out too early to compete with Halo 2.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame, but, like a lot of PS2 games, some of them play, are fantastic experiences, a lot of fun, but, some of them are complete. Some of the PC ports are just fucking awful. Like, I mean, there's a PC port of Half-Life and Red Faction, which are, I'd argue, unplayable, pretty much unplayable because of the load times. But then again...
You mean the PS2 port of Half-Life?
Yeah, PS2 port of Half-Life.
Yeah. They had a good co-op mode actually in that, which was pretty fun.
Half-Life Decay.
Decay was pretty cool, yeah.
I like the introduction. I liked how they introduced the quick save mode, but
we never saw those characters again. They just disappeared. Valve fuck them. Who cares?
Oh,
that's a good example of strong female characters that we never, that Anita never fucking... You need to make a list, right, of strong female characters that she never talks about. Just give me FPS games, I'll go through them myself,
Oh, no, you could list off quite a few. You could basically say,
What about Joanna Dark? You've got Kate Archer, who else?
You'd have, I'd probably argue...
What about the chick from, there's a female character in Time Splitters, the main girl in the future. She's like an ass-kicking thing as well. She's like a space marine or something.
Oh, but you have Jade. You have I'm talking about games
generic
from,
now. Yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil. You had Beyond Good and Evil. Let me think. And
Alex Vance, she was pretty.
Oh yeah,
she's been an ass kicker.
And everyone rates her as one of the best. And also, I mean, technically, I wouldn't necessarily call it a gender, but you have like GLaDOS from Portal. Like everyone fucking loves GLaDOS, and that was like basically a female role.
Yeah. Well, if anything, they should love her because she's technically like an agender thing, right? Or whatever you want to call it, like fluid gender or some shit. I don't know. There's so many of them. Who knows?
Look, she's a robotkin.
Okay, is that what it is? Yeah. I heard one. There's like a dog gender or something, basically, where you identify as a dog. That's an actual thing.
I've seen I've kind of...
Is it canis gender? It's actually called something like that, isn't it? A canine gender or something?
No. The best kind of kin is, my personal favourite is godkin.
What's that mean?
Rules upon God, you're just part of the God, part of the godkins.
Oh, that's not a bad one to have.
But kin, the whole kin thing seems a bit... And I think most of those people are kind of, trying to identify to a... kind of a group, I suppose. I mean, I think a lot of them, like if you look at the gender age, the age of a lot of them, it's more like 20s, teens kind of position. So I think a lot of them are kind of just confused. But Again, I think it's kind of, it's very hypocritical when, these folks come out and say, hey, where are women in gaming? And it's like...
They're fucking everywhere.
Yeah, they're fucking... I remember Sargon, he made a really good video about Aliens, the second Aliens movie, where basically that Ripley really is embodies kind of like a lot of really strong kind of characteristics that a lot of people like in protagonists and, female protagonists. And, he basically said, well, why don't, feminists bring up this character that's really strong in all these situations? And it's because, well, she's not weak and she's not like a real damsel. She doesn't really challenge anyone in any sort of awkward way. And, again, it's point them out, like, in all the Aliens games, you're not playing as some generic colonial marine besides, like, the 90s games made by Rebellion. You play as, Ellen Ripley, killing aliens on the Genesis or on the PlayStation.
I may be wrong too. I think Ripley was originally supposed to be a man too in the original script. I might be wrong, but I remember reading that in Alien, Ripley was a dude, and for some reason they ended up changing it to a woman, which ends up being an awesome choice. But yeah, there's interesting trivia behind it.
I think my only guess behind it would basically be because of the whole rape metaphor with the head facehugger.
Yeah.
But again, that's kind of up to interpretation. I don't think it matters too much in the end because, again, I think Ellen Ripley's a fucking awesome character in sci-fi.
But if you read that script, Aliens is different because fucking Hicks flirts. Is it Hudson or Hicks? Hudson flirts with her all the time, right? Is it Hicks or Hudson? Michael Bihn's Hudson, isn't he?
Yeah, it's Hudson. Yeah, Hicks comes into
Hudson flirts with her a bit. So if you read that script, you'd say, okay, well, she's a chick, unless you think he's a gay dude. But I mean, in the original script, you could read that script, and I don't think it ever really alludes to the fact that she's female. Like, a dude could play that role. Like, it's never like, you know what I mean? They kind of try to play on a sexuality at any point. Oh, maybe apart from the end when she's in the bloody space pod in her underpants. But I mean, like, you wouldn't read that in the script anyway and assume it's a chick, right? So it's like it could have been any gender that played that role.
Exactly, and I think that's where a lot of people fail to recognize with a lot of media, like games and movies and the like, is that it shouldn't be something where you go, oh, that character acts a lot like a man, or that character acts like a lot like a woman. It should be more like that character acts like a legitimate character, a legitimate person.
A person in that role, basically, yeah.
Exactly, it's no real like pandering bullshit, and I think that's where a lot of a lot of game devs and a lot of movie directors kind of fail in understanding is that you shouldn't, your character should be a good character instead of a pandering one, Actually, though, speaking of Portal, you're going to review the Portal games?
I guess so. Look, it's one of those things, man. Like, every FPS game, I guess I'll get to it eventually. It's just a matter of when, to be honest.
You go on.
No, I was just going to say it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, to be honest. Yeah, definitely. But I played Portal. The only time I've ever played those games, I played them through and I finished them and I've never gone back to them. I never got sucked up in... The story was kind of cool, don't get me wrong, but I think the whole thing of them acting as if it was related to Half-Life was just done as a marketing tool just to get people to want to play it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because none of it went anywhere. It seemed cool for a bit. Oh, look, there's the bloody Aperture logo in whatever, some code or something. It's like, yeah, or what was it? The Black Mesa logo turned up in a texture or something. It's like, well... I honestly wouldn't be surprised if someone at Valve was just doing that to fuck around, just to get people to... You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's just generate something. Because it never went anywhere. But, look, they're fun games, but it's just a puzzle game, really. It's like, once you finish it, what's the point of going back to... Why would you want to go back and play it again,
True. Because, I remember you made a comment on, that, like, why Half-Life 2 is a bad sequel video?
Yep.
Yeah, because that guy, Roland...
That's a good video too, man. That dude is so on point. And that's got, like, so many dislikes, that video too.
I know. It's really funny because, I've been watching him and you and him for roughly the same amount of times, because what's great though, he made a video about Clear Skies, Stalker Clear Sky, pretty much said everything, he basically
I've seen it, yeah. I've seen that, yeah.
Hated the video. Yep. Hated it, and it's kind of just funny because it's like, same shit. Then comes around on the game in the end. But no, it's kind of funny because he makes a good point in that video. Half-Life 2 is a bad sequel. Is that all the story elements and all that bullshit across the games is not going to lead anywhere. Yep. It's just going to be something that's happened and they'll just drop it completely.
Yep. We'll never see Half-Life 3, and I'd go on record for saying that. I just don't. We'll never see it. It's just that simple. I don't think.
Oh, if we see it though, it's gonna be the hype of the game is gonna be so incredibly high that even if it does come out, it's gonna be hated by everyone immediately.
I think Half-Life 2 was the most excited I've ever been about a game. Like, probably, I'd have to say. I can't think of... Except, actually, you know what? Metal Gear Solid 3, when the trailers for that, and Metal Gear Solid 2, I remember just, like, losing my shit, because the difference between MGS1 and MGS2 graphically... Remember, they showed the cinematic where... You're on the tanker, and look at that. That's a perfect example of good marketing. You went into that game, and after you play for like 3 hours, you're suddenly playing as Raiden for the next 20. Like that is, they would never do that nowadays. They'd show the whole game anyway. I'm getting distracted, but
it makes sense because it's completely on point because a lot of people bitch about the whole Raiden bait and switch with Snake, but the thing is though was that the fact was you didn't see that coming. And because you didn't see it coming, it was basically, you're thinking, how are they going to set this whole game on a boat? Well, they're not. It's going to be the introduction stage, and then you get the entire game.
But see, the boat took you... I think the first time I got through it probably took me 3 or 4 hours to finish the tanker. Like, I'm like, okay, well, you just assume something happens and you go to the next place, but then as soon as you get to that oil rig and it's a dude who doesn't sound like Snake and he's got blonde hair, you're like, what's going on here? Something's happening. And I just kind of rolled with it. I was like, all right, well, that's the way it is. That's not too bad. And then, it was, a complete shitstorm at the time, but that's something else. But yeah, you would never get people doing that anymore. It's crazy. I can't believe they had the balls to do that old switcheroo in Metal Gear Solid 5. But even that was like kind of like a secret ending, wasn't it? Where you found out it wasn't even Big Boss. You've played it, haven't you?
Yeah, I played it. It's a pretty crazy game in how it basically goes, it turned out it was all simulation. All the people that died were, simulated, sort of simulated.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre game. It's going to be one of the stranger games to come out. And again, you reviewed MGS5.
I loved it. I thought it was amazing. But I've never played a game that is so obviously unfinished. Like, I've never... you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because the ending is basically a slap across the face. I wouldn't say a slap across the face.
It's not even the real ending. You can tell it's just... I don't know what the story was. Well, I know Kojima got, screwed over, but... Yeah,
fucking army.
You can just tell that game's not finished, man. It feels like it's 80% done, And
it really sucks because they probably... it's going to be like one of those... They probably will have the script, already... It was probably already done, but completely scrapped. And it really sucks because, the ending itself is very kind of... spoiler alert. It turns out you're not really Snake, you're some other guy. Yep. And turns out it sort of links into this very obscure part of the first Metal Gear games. And it to me, it kind of feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. But let's be honest here, it is a game where you have this chick with half naked who breathes through her skin. That's just something that happens. I mean,
I love how he didn't change it. I just love how the Japanese can do that. They make those Dead or Alive games where that's not even a fighting game. It's just a dress-up game. You see the screenshots people put on 4chan. It's just half-naked chicks, man. And I just love that Japanese don't give a fuck. They're like, look, this is it. She's in a bikini. She's wearing fishnet. She's got huge tits. Fucking deal with it. I love that shit. You know what I mean? Any Western developer... Oh, you see what they did with bloody what's that, that Blizzard game, and they had to change a pose that some character made because it was too sexual?
What
you heard about that?
That's just fucking retarded.
What's that game coming out that's like Borderlands or Team Fortress that Blizzard's making?
Team Fortress, Blizzard.
It's not Overwatch. Okay. What's it called? It's called I don't know what it's called, but it's like Team Fortress, but Blizzard's making it. And there's a chick in it who's like the hacker chick or something, and she has a victory pose where she does like the cami thing where she sticks her ass out. And apparently they changed the animation because it pissed too many people off because chicks don't have asses,
I mean.
I think it's called Overlord. I'm thinking the game's called Overlord or something, or Overwatch or something like that. I haven't played it. Is it Overlord?
Pose. Actually, I'm looking it up right now just to make sure. Yeah, it's Overwatch.
Overwatch, yeah.
Yeah. Blizzard removing Overwatch butt pose after after fan outrage.
Yeah, because having a chick with an ass is a bad thing, so that's the way it is. But Kojima said, yeah, well, she's naked, and that's the story. I'm not naked, but Kojima just said, deal with it. Suck it up. And I got to give mad props to Japan, man. Like they're doing what the fuck they want.
I know they're I gotta give them credit. Like, I mean, the industry and a lot of the media is kind of down the shitter, but hey, gotta give them credit where credit is due in regards to. I mean, you have to give them. I don't know. I can't say it's kind of offset because Konami and whatnot.
Can you imagine though if Dark Souls? I'm not a huge fan of it. I appreciate the game, but if Dark Souls was a Western developed game, can you imagine what would happen if they put that through any kind of playtesting to Western audiences? Can you imagine what would happen?
Oh, they would have just completely dumbed it down and basically, it's kind of wrong saying dumbed down, but it would have.
No, it would have been dumbed down, I think. I remember reading an interview with the guys that made Dishonored, and they said that people playing the game, there's like a mission in that. You've played Dishonored, I guess. There's a mission where you're at that party or something, and you got to assassinate some lady there, and there's a bit where you can go upstairs in this mansion and steal paintings and shit and do whatever, And they said none of the playtesters went up there because a guard told them not to go up there, so they didn't go.
Fuck?
It's 100% true. You can Google that too.
Oh, that's
imagine. Yeah, here's Dark Souls, guys. What do you think of it? You played it for 2 hours. Oh, well, I died a fair bit, so I don't like that, and I lost all my stuff. So can you get rid of that? And can you put a checkpoint here and a checkpoint? Imagine there'd be 5,000 fucking campfires in that game if if it was made over here.
Oh, also you also have to consider shit like what would it be? It would be you would also have shit. I got ahead on the
regenerating health.
Oh, not just regenerating health. You would when it comes to the Japanese, I'd still say that what was it? One of their games was like they still probably make that's right. The company Atlas.
Yep.
Yeah, they're probably the only real developer that really makes proper, really hardcore kind of games, like very niche. Like remember the Catherine game?
Yeah, I didn't play it. I know about it though. Yeah.
Like, it's a bizarre game, and it has a very Japanese kind of outlook to it, and that kind of game would literally never get past without getting a lot of censorship on it because of its subject matter. You're basically cheating on various women and one or two women, and basically it's all about fatherhood and parental.
There was still a lot of controversy around it when it came out, though.
But
people getting in the shit when it came out, but
it kind of smoothed in really well, and it was like Atlas published, and it was like, well, we don't give a fuck because we make our own zany games, and it's kind of funny because again, I know people brought it up in the past and such, but you kind of have the SJW kind of people going, holy shit, sexism. You have it's basically the mirror of when you had the really hard religious people going, oh my god, demons, when like games like Doom came out. Like you would have remembered when like they had the Columbine shooting in America. And all the real hard right came out and said, oh look, they played Doom. There we go, demons. The demons made them kill all these kids and stuff. And it's like it's basically just effectively. You're basically using the deaths of people and the suffering of others to advance some bullshit agenda. And
that hit close to home, though. I mean, we used to play Doom in high school when that fucking thing happened, man. Like, we used to play Quake and Turok. I don't know if you ever played Turok 2. We used to have that on the computers, and man, we were playing them, and then it happened, and we were all just like, holy shit, like, But like I said, they disproved that. Jack Thompson is the biggest asshole around, and he lost his fucking license trying to say that it causes violence. It's, look, if you got a sick head, no amount of gaming's gonna make you more sick. I mean, you've just got a sick head. That's just the way it is,
Oh yeah, but I just think it's interesting the parallels between we have the the religious right and the real social justice left with how they basically want to censor parts of games and media and such because it doesn't really they don't like the sound of it. And I think it's kind of similar to how you have like butt pose, censor it, and then you have Doom, get it off the shelves, it's violent, demons.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's kind of it's pretty fucking stupid overall. But okay, but here's something here, mate. And then this is gonna be something. Is that what would be the most disappointing game you ever played?
Oh, jeez. You're putting me on the spot, man. I don't know. What does it have to be? Does it have to be an FPS game?
Oh, any game really. Like if I say disappointing game, what comes to mind?
As in, like I looked forward to it, and then it sucked. Is that what you mean?
basically, you know, like, yeah, you're told it's gonna be great, or you basically hyped it up, you know, for yourself, and then you came to the, you know, actual game and pile of fuck.
Metal Gear Solid 4 was pretty bad.
Oh yeah.
Because the Metal Gear Solid 3 again, like if I go over my top 10, Max Payne, Metal Gear Solid 3, Silent Hill 2 is up there for sure. Metal Gear Solid 3, I think I would even say, man, that's my #1 game of all time. I've just spent so long playing it. And then Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, and they kind of tease you. You play the first act, and it seems kind of open worldish a little bit. But then I think, I haven't played it in a while, but I think the last 2 acts are just pretty much on rails, aren't they? Like, there's the one where you got to follow the guy through the city or something. That act's done. Then you're on a fucking bike doing a shootout, and then the last act is just you crawl through the microwave thing.
Oh, not just that too. You also have you basically, like, the first 2 acts are kind of cool because, you know, you have a South American
you
setting.
can get the rebels to help you or some shit. I remember that being cool, but that game, that was just Kojima wanting to make a movie. I mean, the last cinematic I think goes for 2 hours, doesn't it? Like the ending or something.
Oh yeah, it goes for about an hour and a half. But
Yeah.
also you have okay, so basically the third act is basically you walking around a European city with pretty much, it's all very much on rails. Then the next act after that's basically just fan service in the form of...
Oh, that's right. You go to Shadow Moses. That was cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great level, but the problem is that it's essentially just, you know, fan service.
Yep.
For the sake of having a bit of like, hey, remember that scene? Remember how cool Metal Gear Solid 1 was, right? Well, we're gonna make it last for about 3 hours, okay?
And
cool.
the sort of meta stuff in that is really weird sometimes. In the first couple of games, it was kind of okay, like you could put up with it. But I mean, there's stuff in Metal Gear Solid 4, like you say in the 3rd act or 4th act, whatever. And you're on the helicopter, I think, and you have the Metal Gear Solid 1 head from the PlayStation version.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, I'm just like, that's maybe too far, dude. Like, if it's a little funny joke that you put in, like you got the Raiden dude in MGS3, that's fine. But some of the stuff in MGS4, you're just like, that's kind of just weird, you know? Like, it's almost too much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because some parts of MGS4 are very like a lot of fun, but a lot of the time it's just kind of bullshit. Because you know, it turns out the Patriots sort of existed but didn't exist, but kind of did.
Damage control, a lot of the stuff too, the ending. And Revolver Ocelot turns out to be faking the whole time, wasn't that the whole point of it?
Yeah. It turned out, Revolver Ocelot was kind of like, he may have killed hundreds of people, but he was
only doing it, stupid.
It was.
I tell you what, man, one of the best end boss fights in any game ever is Solid Snake and Revolver Ocelot beating the shit out of each other.
Oh, that was the best because it played different themes. Did it play different themes through different franchise? And that was fucking great.
And look, the MGS 3 theme, Snake Eater, is, I think it's the best video game music ever written.
Oh
like,
yeah,
it's such a fucking cool song. When that kicks in, you're just like, dude, just fuck, like you ready to you just want to get blown by someone while you're playing it, man. It's just that cool, you know. Oh, and I finished that game I finished all the MGS games and got the Foxhound rank, and MGS4 was the hardest game I ever had to finish it on. I couldn't tell you how many times how many hours I spent on it. If you remember, there's the bike chase scene in one of the acts.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, and trying to play that on the hardest difficulty is just impossible, because if you take a certain amount of hits, you just start over. So I made a save file in every new area that you go to.
Oh yeah,
so that's how. Even though I hated that game and I was really upset, I still was like, look, I've got everything in the other games. I've got stealth camos and shit, so I'm going to do it in this one. And I think when you finish it on European Extreme, whatever it is, you get like a face mask that's Big Boss's head. Or it's not Big Boss, it's Solidus, I think, because that was the twist or whatever. So you can walk around with this fucking zombie head, and when people see you, they run away screaming. So look, pretty good reward, but disappointing game, man. I won't lie. That's definitely one of the most disappointing games.
Would you do like a video retrospective like you did with the Resident Evil games?
Again, like I said, too much, especially at MGS, they're even bigger games than Resident Evil, I think, you know, because the amount of shit you'd have to talk about. Look, someone like Matthew Matosis, is it Matthew? Yeah, Matt Matosis.
Yeah.
I think Super Bunny Hop's done them. Look, those guys, I can't even hold a candle to the depth they go into on those type of games, and they beat me to it. I'm not just going to do it. I'll just be repeating what they say anyway, but 40-minute, 50-minute long videos on each game, like, I don't have that time, man. You know, I love the games to death, and I probably could talk about MGS3. It's one of those games that I could just talk about for days for someone, because I just love it to death. But yeah, I can't see myself doing it. It's too much time, too much effort.
Fair enough, man. Makes sense, because they're good. They're great games, but you're right though. But then again, you reviewed MGS5, so who knows?
Like I said, it was the transitional year where I thought I'd try a few different games.
Are you going to continue the whole third-person action kind of games, or are you just going to keep it at FPS?
I think this year I'll stick mostly to FPS. I did The Division because, again, Ubisoft, because they pay me so much money to shill their games, they sent me a version of it. They're like, oh, here you go, man, here's a version of The Division to play as well. So Division actually, again, man, I don't know if you've played it, but it's actually a really good game. I know I sound like I'm really shilling or something, but it's a good game. And it kind of frustrated me because everyone's like, oh, it's full of bullet sponges, man. It's like, well, motherfucker, have you ever played an RPG? Like, every RPG, you don't play Diablo or you don't play, I don't know, Warcraft or whatever and say, oh, this enemy's like a missile sponge or a fireball sponge. Well, yeah, it's an RPG. Like, you need enemies increasing in health points,
Oh, no, yeah. But I'd say that my only real problem with the game is that it's like, I played
it's got Ubisoft-itis for sure. That's what I call it.
Yeah. I'd totally say Ubisoft, they've made some good games in the past. They made Splinter Cell, which is like some of the best stealth.
Fantastic, man. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is one of the best stealth games ever made, I think,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You got the top three stealth games, I would say, is Metal Gear Solid, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, and
Thief.
Yeah, Thief 2, I think, is the best one.
Oh, yeah, because, I'd say that Thief is really interesting because, it was a really interesting video by this guy comparing the modernizations of Thief 1 versus Modern Gaming. Really interesting video, but it's like true. It's like a lot of elements of Thief 1. It's like the level design is so much more thought out and complex compared to the newer Thief games or one of newer Thief game. But no. It's kind of interesting about how they are. When it comes to the Division and such, my main issue is that you have a game where all the guns seem uber powerful and like very realistic and accurate, but they don't really, perform what you would imagine, I suppose. Like, when I think shooting someone in the head kind of kills them immediately, and not the case here. I'd still say it's a good game. I mean, I haven't played it, but I'd still say the game looks decent enough. But I mean, I don't know, because I'm kind of one of those. I don't know. Maybe your experience will vary, but I'm one of those more single player kind of minded people.
Yeah, I am too, big time. Yeah.
Because when you have single player, multiplayer kind of games, I think to myself, well, can the game stand on its single player? Because if it doesn't, then the game's going to die in a few years, and then what happens then?
Yeah.
But here's something though. When it comes to, because I'd say that one of the more interesting videos you made, like one that got me into a lot of the older FPSs and stuff, was your Return to Castle Wolfenstein review. And that was a pretty neat video overall. I mean, I really liked it back in the day, and I recently played through it again. It's just kind of funny comparing the different eras of Wolfenstein to the one we have now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting comparing them. But would you say again, weird question though, but because I'm basically on the mind that Return to Castle Wolfenstein is the best one of the series?
Yeah, I would say it is. Actually, probably is, yeah. I'd say Return to Castle Wolfenstein's the best. The New Order's second. In terms of entertainment, in terms of gameplay, I think Wolfenstein 3D is definitely the worst in terms of how it's held up. Like, it's a classic looking back on it in the way that Asteroids and Space Invaders is a classic, you know what I mean? In terms of, hey dude, check this game out, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, I think anyone can just play this and go, wow man, this is pretty badass, New Order's good too, but it's that mix of the old and the new. And then Wolfenstein, the one in 2009, I think it was, it's kind of a bit strange because it's not sure where it sits. It's a good game, it's still an awesome game, but yeah, Return to Castle Wolfenstein is just, to me, that's like the perfect old school FPS game, but it's that cusp when we started to get Call of Duty coming out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was basically, it's kind of just before it went realistic, kind of like Medal of Honor.
It was one of the first ones, I think, to really start taking the realism route, but you've got, I think No One Lives Forever came out the same year. I might be wrong, but I think they're like both in the same year. And they're very similar games. If you play both those games, you look at the environments, they're very similar, and every single level in both those games is completely different to the last, which is just why they're so amazing to me.
Oh yeah, but it's also, that's actually another weird thing. Why haven't they re-released No One Lives Forever? Because, I want to properly try that out, because I only played the first few levels.
It's funny, because I talk to the guys at Night Dive Studios a lot, because I'm just big fans of the fact that they bring these old games back to life. I don't want to say too much, but I think from what they were telling me, Warner Brothers has the licensing for the game, right? And they'd rather just hold on to the licensing than sell it, because they don't know if someone else wants, if anyone in their company wants to re-release it, they want to make money off it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's the way it was worded to me. I don't know if I'm even supposed to be talking about this, but the Night Dive offered to buy the license, which actually apparently wasn't that much. But yeah, Warner Brothers is like, oh, look, we might want to re-release the game and make more money off it, so they're holding on to the license. So that's what I know about it.
I am kind of, because I remember, it's weird though, because I remember you talking about how you didn't have that many FPS games to review anymore. And it's kind of funny, because I'm thinking to myself, the fuck is he talking about? He hasn't even reviewed Project Iggy yet.
I think I said good FPS games to review.
Oh, well, have you played Project
I haven't. I'm getting to that point now where people ask me to review these games and what do I think of them? It's like, well, I haven't really played that, man. Dude, I've done 200 reviews now or something, and it's getting to the point where it's like, look, I've pretty much reached the limit. There's still a few games that I'm going to do. I'm going to go through the Unreal tournaments and the Quake 3s and that, and they're the essentials, I think. But man, I'm getting to that point where, look, I've reviewed everything I played as a kid, and I can't really talk about much else, you know.
Well, so basically, that's it's kind of a bit of this interesting point though, because you're kind of reaching that kind of cusp of what you know as through your experiences playing games. What do you plan to do? Once you basically review everything?
Stop making videos. I don't think. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm probably. I'm gonna reevaluate how things are going at the end of 2016. To be honest. So we'll see what happens at the end of the year, man. I'm not going to be doing this forever. It's a pipe dream to think I'm going to review every single FPS game ever made.
Oh,
but
of course.
I don't know, man. Maybe if someone can take over the reins, I can think about something like that, and I can pass the channel off, and someone else can just pick up where I left off, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? That's an option, but there's just too many games coming out. You look at the shit on Steam Early Access, there's 5 FPS games coming out a week. Look at the shit that Jim Sterling plays. There's so many shitty games. But even going back, I'll look at games and I'll go to certain years. What came out this year? And you look at just these little things that they came out in between this, and not many people know about them. And you can buy them on Amazon for $20, and it's way too hard to catalog. You know.
Fair enough, because I am glad you dropped those fucking Steam Early Access garbage, because I'm so mad. It was just not to sound like a bit of a dick here, but
yeah, it's a waste of time, man. Yeah,
they're probably the weaker of your videos, because basically these videos are essentially you cut trees, you build shit, no music. That's the game. Yeah,
those early access survival games are just the bane of indie developers. People who get into that thing and want to make a game, and that's what they do. You're a waste of life. You should just stick your head in a toilet and just end it, because you're just wasting everyone's time. No one cares about chopping a fucking tree down and making a campfire. We've done that 100 times. We did it in Minecraft 10 years ago. We don't need to keep doing it. And I wouldn't mind if these games got finished, but none of these games get finished, That's what shits me the most.
It is pretty much bullshit, but some of them, to be perfectly fucking honest, most of them are basically just ripping off DayZ and Minecraft.
100%, yeah.
Now, actually, though...
DayZ's a piece of shit, too, actually.
You didn't like it?
It's just terrible. Every time I play it, it's unoptimized. It runs like horse shit. It's what happens when a cool idea is in the hands of people who don't know what they're doing, I think, and I don't know what I'm doing either. I'm not in game development, but it doesn't take a genius to look at it and go, guys, just give this to someone who wants to finish it. Give it to put it in early access even. Is it in early access, or is it still a mod?
It's still in early access. It's been in early access for about 2 years.
But that game, what's it called? SCP Containment Breach.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the most awesome idea for a game, but it's been in development forever because there's like one dude doing it, I think, who just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you did a walkthrough about it, and he had like everything dank about it, like wee jokes, and no, that was
wee jokes, yeah.
that was a pretty good review.
I wasn't really a reviewer, I was just dicking around, yeah.
But no, it was but it's true because a lot of these games they have great ideas, like The Long Dark, for example. It was like
that's a cool game, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
I like that, yeah.
It's kind of this game where basically it's kind of depressing, kind of moody, and it has a kind of a nice feel to it. But it's still early access. Nothing much has really changed about it, and they probably won't change it because it's like it's going to make money for a little while, and then people lose their interest. And it really does suck because some of these games actually show a lot of promise.
SCP, it's funny because SCP plays into everything that these current games are about. It's randomly generated, procedurally generated, whatever bullshit. You've got a game that is around, the SCP thing, which is all these 100 different monsters or whatever. You could have a game with all these things programmed in there, so every time you play it, a different monster is broken out. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got such a cool opportunity there. There's so many things. Oh, there's so many. Like, they seem to focus it around that stupid statue thing, which is pretty dumb anyway. But you've got such a good opportunity, and every time I play it, it hasn't changed since the last 2 years I played it, kind of thing. Do you know?
God.
And it's one of the games. If you want to talk about something I'm hoping for, I hope someone who knows what they're doing picks that up and finishes it, because that could be an awesome game.
I'm actually. I was going to ask you this. What would probably be the most because I don't know about you, but I'm into more obscure kind of niche kind of games. Like, one of the games that I really enjoyed and I never fucking heard about and no one never talks about is Viet Cong for the PC.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah, it's a good game. Have you played the sequel yet?
No, I haven't. No. It's supposed to be shit, isn't it?
The problem with the sequel, is that good luck trying to get it to run. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
Because it basically has about a 15 frames per second kind of gameplay, and it's pretty much... It kind of sucks because it has cool setting, cool ideas, like you play as a Viet Cong at one point, but it's very much a lackluster sequel. But, fuck that noise. Here's something though, is that what would probably be the most obscure game you've played or you know about and such, like not just the FPS stuff, but in gaming in general, the most obscure and kind of underrated, you would say, because you talked about that in Sin, but I've played Sin. But what else would be?
I don't think Sin's underrated. I think it's just unknown. It's such a cool game. It beats Half-Life at its own game in a lot of ways, I think. So what do you mean? Just games that no one knows about that are really cool, kind of thing, or? Yeah,
kind of underrated, overlooked kind of games.
I don't know. Again, you kind of catch me off guard. I don't know, man. PlayStation 1 had a lot of cool games that no one ever talks about. I don't know though, to be honest. PS2 games, maybe. I'm just trying to think of things that I played that... I know what you're saying. It's basically something that I played the shit out of that no one else really knows about.
Oh, not even just play the shit out of it. Like, you played it and was like, well, this game's pretty fucking good. No one actually played. Because,
What's another game? Give me an example.
Let me see. Just an obscure game would be something like, maybe Call of Juarez.
Oh, I hate that game.
Oh, you don't like it at all?
Ah, shit.
Because I've heard it. I've only played the sequel a touch, but
is that Bound in Blood, the sequel?
Yeah, Bound in Blood.
Yeah, the first game's terrible, man. The last one in the series is amazing. It's such a cool game.
Oh yeah, Gunslinger.
Because the problem with the first one is it's too serious. You know what I mean? If you're gonna, it's I'm not sure you'd call it spaghetti western, but it's like that kind of gritty western with the that type of music, and it like, takes itself. It just takes itself. It's too serious. It takes itself way too seriously, and the other two games did exactly the same. And that cartel thing is just terrible. But then by Gunslinger, they're like, look, let's just have fun with it, and they just go so campy and cheesy with it. You know what I mean? You got that music, you got the comic book style cinematics. That's awesome. And I think the problem with the first one is it's just too serious. And when it takes itself seriously, and there's so many stupid plot developments, you're just like, this is a piece of shit.
Fair enough. Because I am kind of surprised though you haven't really covered the Brothers in Arms games.
Oh, look, again, it's just not enough hours in the day. I've only played the first one. I can't. Is that Road to Hill 30?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've only played the first one. I don't think I ever finished it because I didn't like the gameplay. I remember playing it and thinking, oh, it's like Medal of Honor, but it's different, isn't it? It's where you got to like suppress people. Like they don't actually. You can't just flat out shoot them. You got to like suppress them, and then someone's got to like flank them and all this shit. It was. I just remember not liking it at the time.
Fair enough.
Actually, I've got one. Bulletstorm, I think, is a good example. No, that seemed to get. That got really bad reviews when it came out. I remember like people just ripped it apart, but that is such a cool game, man. Like it's such a fantastic game. It's so over the top.
It's great because I mean, again, I've only played about maybe half of it about 3 years ago, but from the time I played of it, it was really fun because it was basically this game that gave no shits and basically had a lot of fun, and you could basically say that the devs had a ton of great ideas. Like how do we kill someone the best way possible?
Yeah.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the devs behind it, people that fly, people can fly.
Yeah, they made the Painkiller game. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they were, they're all playing, they were making Painkiller games and going, ones will just reward players for just killing a fuck ton of people in various fucked up ways.
One of them's gone, look, I really want to be able to shoot someone in the dick, and then they made a game around it. That's basically what happened, I think. You get points for groin shots in bullets. It's called like the Nutcracker or something if you shoot someone in the dick. And you get more points for that than a headshot, I'm pretty sure you do anyway.
And again, it seems like it's a shame that the game didn't really do very well financially and stuff. Because it was kind of a fun kind of parody on Again. Oh, also, it's kind of interesting because did that game have a multiplayer mode?
It had co-op, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was kind of interesting because it was one of the last single player kind of based games that I can remember of.
Yeah, with a focus on the single player.
Because again, I think it's a bit of a disappointment with single player games have kind of died off in many ways. But now would you say that like because I know you've done a few sort of movie reviews, and I'm wondering whether you'd do any kind of.
When have I done that?
Oh, so like you kind of talked about like it was in your Aliens trilogy review. Like you discussed the movies a bit, and I'm wondering like would you do like movie reviews at some point?
I don't know. Do you think there's an audience for that?
It would spice it up a bit in variation, and you could talk about
Batman vs Superman, how much that was shit.
That, and also talk about like I don't know, Judge Dredd the movie.
Which one? The 90s one or the recent one?
Both. The 90s one is
the 90s one is good for all the wrong reasons, and the recent one is just awesome. So yeah, I guess so. But again, like I said, it's I'd love to do a million things, but like I said, it's just there's not enough hours in the day. I was going to do a Doom movie review just because I'm like, look, it's Doom month. Maybe we can talk about that or something. Because that was on TV recently. I think it was on the other night. I don't know if you saw it. It was on like Channel 9 or something. And I'm just like, wow. I just remember watching a bit of it and I was like, this is so fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, I saw that in the cinema, dude,
Oh, no. The Doom movie is such a misguided piece of shit because it's like, you have the elements to be a good movie. Okay, so it's like, it can be full of action. It's got The Rock in it.
Yeah. It's got Carl Urban, who is an absolute badass. He's awesome in everything too. He's never played a bad character. He's always just owned his character.
And
Judge Dredd,
you have all these characters not really characters, but you have these elements that could make a good movie. It's got the right rating. It's not like a PG-13 or M. It's definitely, MA.
I think it was R too. I think the movie is R-rated, isn't it? The Doom movie. I'm pretty sure it is.
I think no. If it was R-rated, they wouldn't be able to show it in cinemas. At least
we have R ratings now in Australia, don't we?
Oh yeah, but only in the last 5 years. I think.
Yeah, good point. So that's probably MA. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is that it's such a shit show because the contrast is too low, so you don't know what the fuck's going on. There's this weird twist at the last act of the movie where the Dwayne basically
for no reason.
He goes nuts for no reason. He goes kill the civilians, and it's clear that the actor has no fucking clue what's going on, and he basically goes I wanted a good action role. Here I am carrying this pile of crap. and it's a very awkward movie, and it's a shame because you have the BFG in it, and it's like that sounds pretty fucking good, and they basically say it's the big fucking gun, and you think this is going to be awesome, and the only really good part of the movie is when it basically just rips off fucking Doom 3. Yeah.
Or any Doom, yeah. The problem was, like, they've changed the story from the Hell setup. I think it was just that they were just mutants, basically. So they weren't demons. So you've already totally changed the plot of the game, of the movie, from what it's supposed to be. But like you say, they had all the elements. They had The Rock, and he's a good action star, man. Let's not mince words. Like, the guy gets it done when he's in these movies. He's a big, massive dude. Carl Urban's badass, but it was just a bad story. I think that's all it was. And I've gone through all these movies. I've gone through, like, the Star Wars prequels. I've gone through so many movies, and I'm like, fuck, I would have done it this way, and I would have done it that way. And, it just comes down to that. Uwe Boll's directed so many of these video game movies, and he has the elements. You watch those movies, you're like, this dude knows what the games are about, but they're just terrible stories, And that's just what lets it down the most.
Oh, did you actually watch the Postal 2 movie?
I haven't seen that one, no. That's actually supposed to be pretty good, though. It's got his highest ratings, I think.
Yeah, actually, I'll be honest. I watched the Postal movie. It's it's about half the movie is just flat out garbage, but the other half of the movie is verging on actually being good. Like, it's kind of like the kind of movie that you would imagine that would basically piss off a lot of people if it was made at the right time. Like, they basically make it that the whole 9/11 hijacking thing was just a big old misunderstanding, and it was actually the passengers that crashed the plane. And again, it's all this really kind of this would actually make really kind of touchy kind of subject matter, but it was kind of made at the wrong time, and it was cheaply made and whatever. And then you have a scene where Uwe Boll gets shot in the gonads by the developer of Postal, and he gets asked, "Hey, Uwe Boll, how do you make your movies?" And he goes, "I make them via Nazi gold." And then the following scene has all these the Al Qaeda pulling out machine guns, shooting into this crowd of people, and the only people who get killed are kids. It's super like
that's awesome.
It's completely fucked up, but it's also kind of it's kind of fun in a way, but it kind of sucks because he's a bit of a cunt, that guy.
Yeah. Oh, he's a dickhead. I remember chatting to someone from Running with Scissors. I don't remember who it was, but it was on YouTube or something, or Twitter, and they said to me, let us know if you want to voice act in our new Postal game. And I was like, yeah, man, for sure. And I never heard back from him, and I chased him up a couple of times, like, dude, you're still doing a Postal game? I want to be a voice actor in it, and I just never heard back from him. That could have been interesting.
Shame, because I don't know, because they've had I know they've had voice actors from Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's in Postal.
Oh, is he?
I think they added in a similar character to him, like a homosexual or something.
Oh, what? He's actually in the movie, is he?
Yeah, no, not in the movie. The expansion. Yeah, what was the one you covered?
It's not Black Friday or something. It's got a weird name like that, isn't it?
It's the one that,
Paradise Lost, I think it is.
Yeah, Paradise Lost, and he's in the game. They have him in the game.
I had no idea. Shit.
I mean, I might be wrong on that. I might have to just quickly check because just give me a sec.
That's interesting. Who's he fucking play? I gotta go back and play it now.
Postal Paradise. I'm gonna check this out because I want to make damn sure.
Please do, because otherwise.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. He's in the fucking game. I'm checking this. Yep, he's in the game. You can kill him.
Who does he play? When do you come up? Encounter him? I don't remember that.
He's in the you meet him on Thursday, and he's in the Fire in the Hole, and he wields a strap-on, basically.
Damn, don't remember that.
I mean, I gotta admit, gotta give him credit for the fact that you love him or hate him, but you can kill him at least in the game.
That's one thing that's good about him too, right? Is that as much as you might not agree with certain things, I don't agree with everything, but again, man, open platform. He goes out onto these massive, where he gives speeches and lectures and shit. It's open platform. You can't disable ratings and comments when you're standing in front of 1,000 people,
Oh, exactly. And I mean, again, I agree with about half of what he says, and the other half I don't agree with what he says. But it's like, the fact is that when he says something like, yeah, free speech is really important to me, I go, yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, I mean, I'm of the kind of perception where even though I disagree with you, you still have a right to talk about whatever, as long as as long as it doesn't, as long as it's like, I don't know, you're not fucking ISIS, I guess, or some shit. Like, you're not taking to an uber extreme like that. But even then, I mean, I don't want to fall into that narrative. Oh, I'm offended, so shut the fuck up, because that's not.
I'm offended is not a retort,
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
actually
problem with these people. Yeah. Oh, I'm offended. Well, yeah, okay. So what?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people forget was that when it comes to offense and such, is that again, for a lot of people, is that an idea is an idea, and you can think of the worst fucking ideas in existence. But it doesn't mean anything. The only problem you have is when, that idea is implemented. But if you don't like how someone speaks and you go, that's offensive, thus it's bad and we should get rid of it, it's fucking stupid because, unless it's literally physically affecting you, not in the kind of bullshit hurt my feelings, but literally affecting you, then no, it doesn't fucking, it doesn't, they can speak to whatever degree. At least that's my perspective on things. But, But when it comes to I'm of the guy that goes, again, I just think that people should have a right to, because again, like, to summarize pretty up, it's basically, if their idea is bad, then let them speak, because then you can rebuttal it easily, right? Yeah. But of course that's why Anita Sarkeesian keeps her comments disabled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
not to mention the fact too that she still hasn't finished the videos, and it's been like 5 years or something now. Has it been that long? Probably not 5 years. It's been 2 or 3 years.
Oh, it's been 3 years since she got funded, and she still hasn't finished.
Still hasn't finished them, and I've made fucking 200 videos in 3 years. You fuck! Like, get it sorted out. And
yeah, she walks away with $200,000, and extra because she does fundraisers for herself.
Yeah, she's still doing crowdfunding things too. I think she's up to another project now, but she doesn't even write it. It's that fucking Jonathan McIntosh guy who writes them anyway. He banned me from his Twitter, and I was actually happy when it happened, and I was like, wow, I got this motherfucker blocked me. Like, didn't even respond to something that I said. He just just gonna block you,
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think when the people... I remember you were talking about... again, it's funny because he did I remember, I think it was your Facebook or something, or Twitter, where basically said, full Macintosh, where basically he went on going, Jesus Christ, look at the violence in Doom 4. And it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. What's his name? Oh, what's that dude's name? The guy...
Jonathan McIntosh.
No, not him, but there was a guy who was talking about Wolfenstein, the new Wolfenstein game, and he was saying, oh, it's so anti-Semitic because... you see Jews getting killed, and I'm like, well, dude, that happened in World War II, mate. It's like, you know what I mean? He made the statement as if the game is anti-Semitic. I'm like, look, it's a fantastical representation of World War II. It's like an alternate history. But shit, man, that still happened. Like, read a fucking history book, dude. You know what I mean? Like, to turn it and blame Wolfenstein because it has Nazis in it because it's anti-Semitic, it's, well, no, like, that shit happened, Like, you can't kind of take that angle with it, man. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who made that video now. Shit. The bald guy he's American. He was coked out at E3 one year, and he sort of disappeared after that. He was on that.
Wasn't he like being a huge? Was he in a Ubisoft conference?
I can't remember. He's the bald dude with the goatee. What's his name?
Is it Tim Schafer?
No, not Tim Schafer. He's just a journalist. He's not a developer. But he made a video about Wolfenstein and just ripped it apart for just the wrong reasons and saying, oh, I'm not sure I like the violence and I'm not sure I like this. It's like, well, dude, have you played the Wolfenstein games? Like...
Oh, but it's like... Me.
I can't remember his name. Hey?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. But no, it's kind of ridiculous because...
Look, it's like... It's like playing Doom and saying Doom is satanic. It's like, no, dude, it's just a game about killing demons. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's or saying that Medal of Honor games are like, I don't know, promoting war or something. It's like, no, it's just a representation of events happening. It's not trying to make a fucking message or anything. It's just this is what the game's about, kind of thing. You know?
And no, it's true because it's retarded because again, it's like, it's basically a non-issue. Like, you play a fucking game where you murder the shit out of Nazis. That should be, like, the most anti-Semitic thing fucking existing.
Yeah, if anything, it's empowering. It's not anti-Semitic, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's complete bullshit. But, again, I just think it's like, it's funny how, these things, repeat where you have the religious right going, oh my god, demons, doom, corrupting our youth, and then doing effectively the same thing, and, oh my god, the violence, Jesus Christ, why? You got Jonathan McIntosh saying, men should just stop committing crimes.
Yeah, some of his tweets are golden. I'm actually kind of sad though that I can't check his Twitter feed and see what he puts up, because he puts up these just stupid things that I guess he thinks are really profound, but they're just idiotic when you read them.
Oh no, he's just a fucking moron.
Yeah.
But,
what's his name too? That guy who writes the Borderlands game. I hate him too. He's a piece of shit.
No, that's actually
Anthony Birch. Anthony Birch.
Yeah.
Oh man, that guy's a train wreck, isn't he?
So now tell me, because I remember back in the day, Anthony Birch was like kind of he was respected for doing doing like internet web series and the Borderlands, but where did he fuck up?
He wasn't respected. He made that show with his sister, which is pretty funny. And I think the only good thing about the show was his sister, because his sister was legitimately funny. I thought she's funny anyway. Then somehow he got the gig writing Borderlands 2, and I don't think he ever planned for it to be like a social justice kind of game, but then the whole Anita thing happened, and she called him out on Twitter, and because he's such a bitch, he kind of got down on one knee or whatever and said, I didn't mean to do this. And then I think he went back and kind of basically retconned things that he did in the game. So, the famous one was there was a bug in the game where one of the male characters, when he revives someone, he says the same dialogue he says if he revives the female character. That was just a bug. So he revives the chick and he says, up you get, sweetheart, right? Revives a male character, says, up you get, sweetheart. Birch turns around and goes, oh, yeah, I did that because he's bisexual. It's like, no, motherfucker, that's just a bug. You had nothing to do with that. Then you go and play Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and that was written with Aussies. I don't know if you played it, but I think it's Bondi 2K or whatever it is. The guys in Sydney, man, wrote that game and worked on it. And then you can just tell the Anthony Birch dialogue. Do you know what I mean? There's just such a contrast between the two of them. The Aussie dialogue is hilarious, and it's like we would get the jokes obviously, but I think people who don't get the Aussie humour would be like, that's funny. Then you got the Anthony Birch humour, and there's literally one character who mentions, I counted it, I'm not bullshitting, 3 times where she points out she's a lesbian. But why does she need to do that? You know what I mean?
I know, because it's like, again, this is and I think that's a lot of people, when they're making these games and such, is that they just go, lesbians are real people, right? And it's like, yeah, we know that. We all fucking know that. We play games, we get it. And it's like, well, let's explain. I'm going to explain to you why lesbians are normal people like you and me. It's like, we know this. We fucking know this. It should just be characters are lesbian, done. Yeah. Characters straight, done. It shouldn't be this fucking bullshit. Oh, this, and this. And again, it fucking makes it some sort of Again, this is the problem. Is that I think a lot of when it comes to writing and games and such, is that people go, well, we don't actually have the creative spirit to make a game like a character interesting, so we're gonna have this one bullshit kind of character trait that's gonna define them. Like, I mean, it happens all the fucking time. It's nothing new really, because it's just it's just bullshit marketing. Where basically they go, we're gonna basically pander to a specific crowd because again, I don't really want to. Again, it kind of makes it bullshit, because instead of making a solid character that's relatable because they're relatable, they make a character that's a girl because, hey, got to appeal to the girls, got to make a guy because got to appeal to the guys. But no, it's complete bullshit. And
well, it's like their diversity and originality has to come from things like their sexual preference instead of just their background as a character. It's not. It's like, oh, he's homosexual and she's bisexual. That's like what makes them different, instead of just like, nah, this is like a badass chick who shoots fireballs. This guy's an ex-fucking soldier who, deserted his unit or whatever. Like, that's what you need as a character. It doesn't matter what the sexual preference is, and that's another thing I get in trouble with. People think I'm like homophobic or something. I really don't. I get
when do they think this?
Oh, I've had that a fair bit, man. With certain comments I make, people saying that I'm just homophobic. I literally do not give a shit. But when you force that shit, is when I take issue with it. Like I said, I mean, there's the most epic dialogue in that game is when this character's talking about something, and she's talking about another NPC or something, and she's like, yeah, this guy was really, I'm not going to do the voice, but she's like, yeah, this guy's really mean to me, and he asked me my number, but I turned him down, because I like girls. But, like, why would anyone ever say that in dialogue? That just wouldn't come up. Like, it's written to get that agenda across, which is where people hate him so much, and it's completely justified. You're playing this game, and then someone's just like, at the end of a mission dialogue, they say, "Oh, can I have your number? Because I'm into chicks." It's like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, you know what I mean? And they turn. There's the character in that who's like the one-armed, like he's like an old big game hunter. And then there's just a random bit of dialogue when you're doing a mission for him, and he goes, "Oh, I need to get this for my boyfriend or whatever." It's like, what the fuck? Like, what is that? You could just say, "Go get me this item," but it has to be, "Go get me this item for my boyfriend," and that's where I take issue with it. It's so pandering. I think that's maybe what it is. It's the pandering that shits me.
Yeah, no, it's right because like here's the thing: is that when it comes to again, I haven't really played much of the new Wolfenstein: The New Order, but was there a part where they were basically going, the Jews are getting wiped out, or were they just going, yeah, there's a concentration camp and people are getting killed? Because like was it like 'cause again, this is the thing is that a lot of people. Because in natural dialogue, again, to give an example...
Actually, you know what? There was a gay character in that, too. There was a girl in it who was homosexual that you came across.
Yeah, but was it like did they say, oh, hey, it was Blazkowicz going, hey, hey, I've got this rebel base we can go back to, after we've killed some Nazis.
That's No, that was the thing about his character, too. In the New Order, I think it was... when the chick's like kind of into him, and then they're kind of having this awkward dialogue, and then it just cuts, and they're just like banging each other on the train. It just comes out of nowhere. But no, in the what was the latest one? The Old Blood, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a girl in it who like they could have gone that route. He's talking to this chick, right? And she's pretty cute. Like, I mean, she's a video game character, whatever, but she's pretty cute. And she lets him in, and they're talking, and they could have gone either way. He could have been a sleaze, but they don't do that dialogue. It's more about the story. It's more about, we're in a rebel base, we're hiding from Nazis, come this way, the secret tunnel, whatever. And then at the end, you see this chick holding hands with like another girl, and you're like, oh, okay, so she's a lesbian, right? But that's the way it should be handled. It shouldn't be forced on you in that sense,
Like, but again, it feels like because it kind of demeans it a bit. It's like
exactly. It's like I said. It's just pandering a character just for the popularity. Just like it is in the sense of it's more diverse to just do that than just to have a strong character.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a cheap way to create a character. Like again, I'll give another example. It's kind of a bit of a weird one, but let's take Dumbledore from Harry Potter. Like J.R. Rowling. J.K. Rowling. Yeah, so bad. But she comes in and goes, yeah, he's a gay guy. And then, some people freak out. But for all intents and purposes, Dumbledore just goes... there's no scene where he goes, Harry Potter, like, can you come over here, please? Like, there's no kind of weird scene where...
That would be weird, though.
But it's not even... It could have gone a way where it basically went, like... Dumbledore was accused of pedophilia because he was hanging around Harry Potter all the time. But then he had to defend himself in court. Like, no, there's none of that bullshit. It's just, oh yeah, it turns out, he was gay because that's his kind of character arc. And there's no weird kind of bullshit message to it. And, but no, I think, a lot of people, like, I mean, I personally don't really, care what they put in their games, but what I care about is whether or not the game is actually fucking good. And, I think a lot of people like to think that, putting in, like, an example would be, I'll give you an example. You played Last of Us?
Yeah, good game.
Yeah, like, I'd say that, like, the female characters in there, they're pretty well done for the most part, because they're just people trying to survive. They're not people who are damsels in distresses or some, edgy kind of femme fatale or anything like that. They're just they're just people trying to survive, and they make some interesting characters. But to basically effectively dropping all the SJW Fwarawa, all of that shedang, you'd basically say that if I had to basically summarize it by saying that it's kind of a load of bullshit, and it's kind of fucking gay. But no. Now here's something that I wanted to ask you though. Is that,
last one, because I got to go to bed. I'm tired.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't hope this is just.
No, it's okay. Question. It's all good. I'm enjoying the talk, man. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But what would be your personal pick of good channels, like good gaming channels.
That's a good thing to end on. Wow, okay. Okay, are we taking the political route here or just the gaming sort of route
just
here?
the gaming route. And that's not me being a shill. That's just me, because I'm wondering, like, where you draw your... Because I know you have, like, a couple of recommended channels, like, Pokey Plays, but... I'm just wondering...
Pokey Plays is... Yeah, I know what you mean. Perils of Pokey in that, yeah?
Yeah. Good stuff. But,
look, obviously, I like guys like you, of course, and DW Terminator, and there's a couple other guys up there who are in a similar boat to what I was kind of like, and I can tell when I watch videos that you guys do that you put a lot of effort into them, and nothing shits me more when I see those Minecraft videos or those GTA 5 gameplay videos and all that kind of shit where they've got 7 million subscribers, and I just know these guys don't know fuck about anything. But that, like I said, that we could talk about that for another whole video. But I don't know, man. In terms of just gaming things, I don't really watch too many other gaming channels, to be honest. I don't generally watch them. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I like what's his name? CGR's not too bad. There's a guy called GG Beyond. I'm not sure what he calls himself now. It's Error Game Reviews, I think. He was actually the guy who got me into doing game reviews.
Yeah, because
you can look him up. He's done like Blood reviews and Shadow Warrior. He's really good too. He obviously knows what he's doing, but he just kind of dropped off the face of the earth now.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. Because I remember back in the day, he was like the first, I think, doing blood reviews.
One of the first, man. Yeah, and his old reviews are really good, but he has a really strange way of talking. He kind of talks like this, and every word he talks like every word's the start of a new sentence. Yeah. So it's really hard to listen to. I'm not to be offensive or anything, but I'm pretty certain he's Chinese or Korean perhaps. But okay.
I think it's I mean, I know, because I remember in the comments of most of his videos are like I love the scripting and shit, but what the fuck's up with the voice? So I think, and I honestly would say that
Mark Bustler talks the exact same. Mark Bustler, I can't stand. I love that guy too. You'll never find a gamer reviewer who is so positive about every single game he's ever played, but dude, you got to work on your diction, man. Like every word is literally like capitalized, like it's the start of a new sentence, you know?
Oh yeah, actually, I remember back in. You're saying Sin's a good game because I like good games. But,
Sin's a good game. Like, talks like that.
But no, Mark Bustler. You don't have much love for him?
No, I think he's fantastic. No, I love the guy. Like I said, but not really in-depth reviews. It's just kind of like, this game, you do this, and it's really cool, and it's really fun, and I think his reviews, they generally go for like 3 or 4 minutes. They're pretty short. But in terms of, you just watch this guy and you're like, yeah, this dude loves what he's doing, and you got to give props for that. You know what I mean? It's not like, I'm going to rip this game apart. This game's a piece of shit. And that's just the love of it. So I give that guy mad props, you know? I used to watch Mac and Mesh. I don't know if you ever remember those guys.
Mac and Mesh? I don't think so. I'm going to check it out.
This was before PewDiePie, before Markiplier. I got to bloody, cleanse myself when I say that name. But Mac and Mesh were like the first people that did like horror reaction videos for games. They played through Doom 3, and I don't know if it's Mac or Mesh. I think it's Mesh is the one who screams and shit. Mac's the guy now who does that Worth a Buy channel. Do you know him?
Worth a Buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
He's like let's read. I can't stand that shit, so I don't watch it anymore. The way he talks just shits me. But I used to love those guys. But and apparently he called me out or something and said I'm an asshole in like a video. Apparently, someone told me.
Well,
he doesn't like me or something. I remember hearing that.
Let's destroy him.
I don't care. No, I really don't care.
It's fine.
Yeah.
No. It's but no. I mean, I know who you're talking about because I think the problem is with a lot of the gaming channels that I kind of look for, kind of ones that have a level of passion for, like they actually go. Because I think the problem is a lot of people, they make reviews of games and whatnot, but they kind of do a half-assed effort. And when I look at a game that I like or a game I think it's worth talking about, and I see a review that's half-assed, I think to myself, fuck, there should be a good review of that game at least, or a good overview about it. And I mean, and again, that's a lot of problem that that's what I quite like about channels like yours, where basically you go, the game is good, but it has a lot of problems in this regard and this regard. Instead of just giving it, giving it fellatio and basically saying it's the best fucking thing that ever existed.
See, that's the thing too. Look, the other thing too is that you can like a bad game. That's what I wish I could drill that into people's head. There's nothing wrong with playing a game that isn't perfect. People think just because you say something's bad about a game, no, this game's awesome. Dude, you can have a great time playing a bad game. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah,
let's be honest,
exactly.
something like Shogo it's not a very good game, you know, but it's still awesome to play because you're driving mechs and you're blowing dudes up and their arms are flying everywhere. Like it's fine to do that, you know. So
Oh yeah.
I wish I could clear that misconception up in the sense of, because I say something's bad, you know, that's still cool that you can have fun with it, you know. You just, like you say, it's not a matter of, this game's amazing, it's timeless, it's awesome, you know. Like, talk about Super Mario Brothers and people act like that's some kind of classic. That game's aged like shit, you know, the original NES game.
Oh yeah, because I now this is another thing I've noticed about your channel is that you didn't use ratings or anything when it came to metrics.
That's I think that's kind of narcissistic a little bit to put a fucking number on something. God, I gotta tone this swearing down.
No, it's fine, dude.
To give a rating to something, especially when you see certain people like, I give this a 4.75 out of 10. You know, it's just not, you know, whatever they say. I'm not going to impersonate someone, but yeah, it's just, look, if it's either if you're going to play it or you're not going to play it. That's why you give credit to what's his name at Worth a Buy and those type of channels where it's like, what's that other one too? Where it's like buy, rent, wait for sale or something.
Yeah,
that's
I know
the way it should be. Yeah, look, you're either going to play it or you're not going to play it. If it's a 7 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10, it doesn't matter. You're either going to play it or you're not going to play it. That's the end result. I think I cover that pretty well, but yeah, sometimes I get a bit distracted. But yeah, like I said, it's either a play or not play. It doesn't matter if it's a 1 point difference. That's just an ego thing. Like, oh, I gave it a 6 out of 10, man. You know, like to say, oh, well, they gave it an 8. They don't know what they're talking about. No, well, you'd both still play it, dickhead. So it doesn't really matter.
But also, like, I think, like in my experience, like one of my favorite games would be like Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex from 2000. I mean, I think that game's fucking awesome. I love the fucking game. Played the shit. However, I'll be the first one to say there's a lot of things wrong about it. Has a weird pacing. It can have a kind of a slowish pacing to begin with. The combat isn't very good.
Oh, combat's terrible.
Yeah, some of the weapons are just broken as fuck. The voice acting leaves something to desired. And again, I'm happy, and I think a lot of people don't understand is that you can, again, because I mean, I used to fall in the trapping of being a fanboy where basically if you dare touch fucking Halo, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, you eventually realize that no, plenty of all games have kind of, like the vast majority of them have some serious issues. And, you know, your favorite game can be can be a mediocre game by, like, I don't know if you ever played Soul Reaver?
Yeah, I have. The first one, yeah.
Because I mean, I fucking love Soul Reaver. It's like one of my favorite.
That's a mad game. It's probably one of the best games on the PlayStation too.
Yeah, it's one of the best games of the PlayStation and one of my favorite games. But if you actually play it now, like it really is. It's really aged really badly.
Is that Legacy of Kain? Is that the one where you're the guy with the cowl over his face? Yeah.
Yeah,
that was badass. Yeah,
no,
cinematics in that were amazing.
Oh, no, it has a great... I love the voice acting, it's incredible.
But like you say, you can look at these games and you can pick out what it is that makes them so good. Like Deus Ex, yes, we can all agree the combat and the stealth is average, but you get to the point where you can put up with the bad, you know what I mean? It's like,
exactly.
I can put up with that. I've found my middle ground, and the story's so good and the writing is really cool and it keeps you captivated. That's why you can keep playing. Like Legacy of Kain, like you said, yeah, it plays like shit, but the story in that is badass, man. It's about like all these like ultra old, like, you know, vampires that are like betraying each other. Like, that's an awesome story. I don't care what generation you're born. That's a cool story, you know?
Oh, no, it's a really cool, and it's like, you know, I'm trying to work on a retrospective of the games because they have a really rich kind of lore to them and how they play out, and each one of them feels kind of distinct and stuff. But I'll be the first one to say that throughout all the Legacy of Kain games, aside from maybe two of them, the gameplay ain't that good. It's very mediocre. It's very archaic, and it always feels a couple of years behind the industry standard at the time.
The PlayStation, I remember the PlayStation in particular. The PlayStation 1 had really big problems with those type of games with the camera. Like the camera would just shit itself all the time. Like I played Tomb Raider. Whenever you were close to something, you're trying to jump. It's just the camera just hated you. It would never work.
It's a fuckfest. Yeah. But I think what's really funny though, but no, what I think it's yeah, it's kind of. This is why I think I don't want to rate games because people, because like case in point, people will rate something like Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time a fucking perfect 10, and to me, I'm thinking, well, the game has issues. It has issues like any other game, and I think it's worth addressing. But for a lot of people, it's like it got a 10. It's perfect. It can't be touched. And
the difference too, like the difference nowadays between an 8 and a 9 is cause for like a riot. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's complete. What's more is it like
8 out of 10. No, this is 9 out of 10 for sure. Dude, it's 1 point. That's still 8 out of 10. That's 80%. That's a distinction. If you're in an academic thing, you know, you should be loving that, right?
Yeah, but what's more is that, like, look at the rating scale of, like, current gaming is basically, if you don't rate above, like, a 7 or an 8, your game is basically not going to get bored. And I think it's and I think it's just a real shame that, that a lot of critics have basically boiled down to, well, that game isn't very good, I give it a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10. It's like, well, no, 6 out of 10 could be a decent game. Like, I would give I'd give Blood 2 a 6 out of 10. I would give
That's what I like about Rotten Tomatoes, is it's based on an aggregate thing of people saying yes or no. You look at it and you go, all right, 80% of people said yes, so okay, cool, I'll check it out. You know, it's a better way to do it. As far as I'm concerned, it's a yes or no. That's basically all there is to it. You know. Yeah,
exactly. That's why.
And you're going to base that decision off whether or not you're into that genre. Like, I don't care about games like XCOM or I don't know, like even Gran Turismo. I'm just picking random things here, but So even if they say yes, I'm not going to play it. But if someone says, yes to the genre that I'm into, you're going to check it out. You know, it's a simple thing.
Exactly. Oh, but look. To be like, it's getting to about getting close to the 3-hour mark. So I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be one hell of an upload. But look,
edit it down a little bit, maybe.
Maybe. Nah, I'll just upload it raw. Let those bastards listen to it. Anyway, but no, if there's just wondering though, because kind of probably wind it down in terms of the podcast. But when it comes, would there be any part you wanted removed from the stream?
I don't know, not really. Just if I say anything insanely politically incorrect, I don't think I did, but you can be a good judge of it.
No, it was all pretty.
Yeah, I don't think we offended anybody. Like, we stayed out of politics the most, so I think we'll be fine.
I think we offended everyone, but whatever.
That's okay. They'll get over it. Hopefully, people who are listening to this aren't, social justice types anyway.
Oh no, I mean, I really doubt it. And if they are, then it's like, well, big fucking deal. It's like, at least comes with me. I watch some YouTubers who are SJWs and some who aren't SJWs, and I'm like, well, I don't fucking care. They make good content, whatever. And again, like, to me at least, until my only problem is that until someone is forcing, again, like I can only see a divisive thing coming up if you came out of you start making videos that were just about politics or just about SJWs and stuff. I can only really see that to be divisive, but no, I can't really see much else. Well, but yeah, man. Thanks, Gareth. Gareth.
Yep, that's it. Yep. Triple G, Gareth, that's it.
But yeah, now, but last big question here. This is the big one.
Okay.
What the fuck's up with the Gggman? Like, why'd that name?
I've explained this so many times, I'll do it anyway. So I had an account when YouTube literally started, and I still have a screenshot from the old YouTube when it used to be, what was it, like a star rating or something back then, I think, even before the thumbs up and thumbs down. No, it was a thumbs up back then. That's right, yeah. Anyway, I used to upload clips from The Simpsons to YouTube, right?
Okay.
And I had this account where I had all these Simpsons clips because that was when Simpsons was coming out on DVD at the time, which I don't know if you remember that. They started bringing the whole show out on DVD.
I remember that.
I was ripping them to my computer, uploading clips. These clips at the time had thousands of hits. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. Fox, as you know, is psycho about copyright. They banned my account, so I made a second account called Gggmanlives or Gman Returns. I did the same. I did the same shit again. Then I got banned again, and then the third one was just Gmanlives. I don't know why. And then that was the account from here, pretty much. And actually, the way that I got my most basic subscribers was I put up a clip from The Sandlot. Do you ever watch that movie?
Sandlot?
Yeah, you know the kids who play baseball. It's like the Goonies, but with a baseball team.
I think so. I mean, was there one really good player?
Yeah, he was actually apparently based off a real player too, apparently. But there's like a scene in it when they're all these kids, it's set in the 1950s, and they go to like a public swimming pool, and one of the kids has this crush on this really hot lifeguard, and he pretends that he like drowns in the pool. So she pulls him out, she gives him mouth to mouth, and he's just like pretending he's like unconscious so he can kiss her, and I put that scene up. It got like 1 million hits, man. And then...
What happened to it?
I took it down because it was like a copyright thing. Yeah, I've had a couple copyright claims, so I'm a little bit paranoid actually about it.
Well, let me guess. Ones that use movie
Yeah,
footage?
I had a copyright for that one, and then I had a copyright for the Bioshock video because apparently the music in it was copyrighted. So I'm Bioshock Infinite, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, I think you get 3 strikes, but it's every year or something they reset. I think so. I think I'm good. So that's why I'm going to put it up again and see what happens.
All right.
Fuck them.
Too much edgelord.
It's fair use, brah. I can do what I want.
Well, anyway, basically, well, thanks, Gigi, man. Thanks, Gareth, for
no worries.
having this talk. I know I've been pestering you for fucking months for this to happen, but I wanted to kind of talk, have an actual chat with someone that I've been following for a couple of years, and
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad too, man, because I know you're a long-time fan, so it's awesome to chat to you.
Thanks, man, for having me on your having to take up your time and stuff. I hope it wasn't too much of a trouble. Hope things, sorry for the internet to fuck up like that, but yeah, I hope it wasn't too much trouble on your part or anything like that.
No, it was a good chat, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, I want to say thanks, man, to have a talk like this, and it was quite interesting to talk to another YouTuber, and all I can say is best of luck, and hope you I'm looking forward to the eventual Doom 4 review, and the other reviews we're not going to mention because lip.
Yeah, well, but you won't tell anyone, so
okay.
Sworn to secrecy.
All right, well, all I can really say is that thanks, man, for talking, and I hope you have a good evening. All right, see
cool,
you, man.
Chat to you later.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.